YouTube superstars. Welcome back to our cozy little audio circus. Hope you've all had a week that was less chaotic than mine, but hey, chaos is content, right?
Chaos is content, Mira? Is that your new motto? Mine is usually more like coffee first, and maybe you'll consider chaos. But hey everyone, Leo here, ready to rumble, or at least ready to talk about, well, we'll get to that.
My week? Let's just say it involved a rogue squirrel, a bag of pretzels, and a very public fountain. Picture the sunshine, birds chirping, me strolling through the park, feeling all zen. And then BAM. A squirrel the size of a small dog launches itself from a tree, aiming straight for my pretzel bag. Whoa.
A squirrel the size of a small dog, Mira? Were you sure it wasn't a chihuahua in a fur coat trying to steal your lunch money? Seriously though, squirrels are ambitious little guys. Probably thought your pretzels were the key to world domination.
Anyway, in the ensuing pretzel-squirrel standoff, I somehow managed to trip gracefully, of course. Very ballerina-like right into the fountain. Pretzels flew. Squirrel vanished with a triumphant squeak, and I ended up looking like I'd taken a bath in my clothes in front of about 20 tourists. Oops.
Ballerina-like trip into a fountain. That's going on your highlight reel, right? I can just see the slow-motion replay on YouTube now. Mira vs. Squirrel Fountain Edition. We might need to sell merchandise.
Coffee shoot meets fountain fresh. We're onto something there. But seriously, the looks I got, one lady actually offered me a towel and said, "Are you alright, dear? Did the fountain attack you?" Made my day, actually.
See, chaos is content. You're living proof, Mira. My week was slightly less aquatic. Unless you count the coffee I spilled on my notes this morning. At least it smelled good. Anyway, less about our clumsy adventures, morning.
Speaking of adventures, are we ready to whisk our listeners away to where are we whisking them today, Leah? Somewhere exciting, I hope, not just to my local dry cleaners after the fountain incident.
Definitely more exciting than your dry cleaners, Mira. Today, folks, we're diving into a transatlantic tale of two very different vibes, let's put it that way. We're going to be doing a bit of a compare and contrast. A head-to-head, a friendly face-off.
A friendly face-off. I like it. Are we talking food fight? Because if so, Team Pretzel, even if they did lead to my fountain fiasco. But seriously, tell us, Leo, where are we jetting off to in our minds today? Is it somewhere with pretzels? Maybe giant squirrels?
No pretzels, and hopefully fewer aggressive squirrels, Mira. Though, never say never. Today, we're setting our sights on Germany and the United States. Get ready for Letterhausen versus, well, I guess, baseball caps. We'll figure it out as we go.
Germany and the United States. From bratwurst to burgers, from Beijing to Beyonce. Wow, this is going to be epic. I'm already picturing myself in a beer garden and maybe line dancing in a Texas saloon. Oh, the possibilities are endless.
Beer gardens and saloons sounds like a good start. But we're going deeper than just stereotypes, Mira. Although, stereotypes are fun for a little while, right? Right. The everyday stuff, the things that make me stick and sometimes maybe slightly clunk.
Clunking countries. Now that's a phrase I didn't expect to hear today. But I'm intrigued. Are we talking about comparing everything from sausages to skyscrapers, from Autobahn to Route 66? Aha.
Exactly. Sausages to skyscrapers, Autobahn to Route 66, maybe even pretzels to apple pie. We'll see where the conversation takes us. But yeah, buckle up, YouTube listeners, because we are about to embark on a comparative journey across continents. And if you're liking the sound of this already, don't forget to give that like button and don't miss any of our future clunking country comparisons.
So I can subscribe. It's like getting us a virtual high five for our pretzel and fountain-induced podcasting efforts. And if you want to explore more about different countries and cultures, don't forget to check out Jet Off A, your ultimate guide to, well, jetting off. Ready to dive in, Leo. Germany versus the USA. Let the games begin. Our current topic, we compare general safety crime statistics and the cultural factors shaping them. From solid data to fascinating insights and real-life stories, we bring you general safety and crime rates in Germany versus the United States. Oh, it's like comparing bratwurst to hot dogs in terms of, well, how likely are you to get into a pickle? Or maybe a mustard-wise situation?
Mustard-wise situation, Mira. You're already seasoning this topic nicely. Oh, okay, safety and crime, Germany versus the US. Immediately, I picture one of those crime drama shows set in a gritty American city. Then, well, Germany, I mostly picture people efficiently following traffic rules. Huh. Is that just a stereotype, or is there something to it?
Stereotypes exist for a reason, right, Leo? But in Germany, it often feels like order is the name of the game. You walk down the street, and things just feel, well, safe. Like you could leave your gingerbread house unattended and it would probably still be there when you got back. Aha. Maybe with a polite note house is unattended.
A polite note. A polite note. Only in Germany, Mira, only in Germany. In the US, if you left the gingerbread house unattended, it would be gone, possibly with tire tracks leading away from a scene, or maybe just a squirrel convention inside. Whoa. But seriously, when you look at the actual crime stats, what do they tell us? Is Germany really as crime-free as a freshly vacuumed carpet?
Well, statistically, Germany generally does have lower rates of violent crime compared to the US. Think fewer, shall we say, Hollywood-style action sequences happening on a Tuesday afternoon. Petty theft, like pickpocketing in crowded areas, that's still a thing, just like anywhere in a busy city. But overall, feeling safe just walking around, especially in the daytime. Germany scores pretty high. Ew!
Hollywood-style action sequences love it, Mira. So, Germany less likely to be chased by a rogue robot, more likely to have your bike politely stolen if you forgot to lock it. Got it. Now, the US is a bit more of a mixed bag, isn't it? You've got some super safe, quiet towns. And then you've got areas where you might want to invest in a personal bodyguard and maybe a tank.
Exactly. The US is HUG, right? It's like comparing a tiny cuckoo clock to a whole clock tower. Crime rates really vary depending on where you are. Big cities can definitely have higher crime rates, especially violent crime compared to smaller towns or rural areas. It's not a one-size-fits-all safety label for the whole country. Huh. Whoa.
No gingerbread houses left unattended in some US cities, that's for sure. But it's interesting, isn't it? That's for sure. But it's interesting, isn't it? Cultural factors play a big role here too. In Germany, there's a strong emphasis on community and social order. Rules are, well, rules. And people tend to follow them mostly. Except maybe when jaywalking. I've seen Germans jaywalk.
Even Germans have their rebellious moments. Yeah, that emphasis on rules and social order in Germany, it really does contribute to that general feeling of safety. Plus, they have a pretty efficient police force. Though, I bet even German police get tired of paperwork sometimes. Imagine the paperwork for a stolen gingerbread house.
The paperwork alone would deter most gingerbread house thieves in Germany. But in the US, the cultural factors are different. Individualism, for one thing. And, let's be honest, a much more complex history with social inequality. That definitely plays into crime rates, unfortunately. Ouch.
And access to, well, certain items is also different between the two countries. In Germany, you're less likely to see folks casually carrying around things that go bang. Whoa, that makes a big difference in the types of crimes and the overall feeling of safety, doesn't it?
Things that go bang, Mira, you're a master of understatement. Yes. Gun control is each difference. Germany has much stricter gun laws than the US, which, unsurprisingly, correlates with lower gun violence. It's not rocket science, is it? Though maybe rocket science in the US, statistically speaking.
Maybe we should start recommending rocket science classes for safer neighborhoods. But you're right, it's not rocket science. Stricter gun control in Germany definitely contributes to lower violent crime rates. And just the general feeling of less bang potential hanging around. Ah, it's a calmer vibe, wouldn't you say?
Calmer vibe, definitely. Germany is like a well-organized symphony orchestra. The US is more like a very enthusiastic, sometimes slightly chaotic, just band. Both can be great, but one definitely has more potential for unexpected crescendos of chaos.
Crescendos of chaos. Leo, you're on fire today. But it's true. While both Germany and the US are generally safe places to visit, that feeling of general safety is just different. In Germany, it's like a quiet confidence. In the US, it can be more situational awareness required.
Situational awareness required, perfectly put, Mira. In the US, you might need to be a bit more street smart, know which areas to avoid late at night. Keep an eye on your belongings. Basic city smarts, but maybe amplified on Norwich order depending on where you are. Whereas in Germany, you can probably relax a bit more and enjoy your gingerbread.
So, for general safety and crime rates, Germany generally gets the gold star for over lower crime rates and a stronger feeling of public safety. But the US is a vast and varied place, and safety levels really depend on location. Just maybe don't leave your gingerbread house unattended in Times Square, okay?
Solid advice, Mira. And probably don't try to jaywalk in Germany. You might get a polite but firm lecture. Okay, safety and crime rates compared and contrasted. Where should we venture next on our Germany versus US adventure?
Leo, so next up on our grand tour of countries, let's chat about something super important if you're thinking of hanging your hat somewhere: political stability and social harmony. It sounds a bit like a right X-Fub title, but trust me, it's the spice of life, or lack thereof, depending on where you are.
Political stability and social harmony sounds like a yoga retreat brochure, Mira. But yeah, crucial stuff. Nobody wants to move somewhere and accidentally end up in a real-life political thriller, right? Unless you're into that, I guess.
Think about Germany first. When you picture politically, what comes to mind? For me, it's like orderly. Like their trains. Hopefully less chance of derailment.
Germany and orderly are practically synonyms, Mira. They practically invented the word, probably while meticulously organizing their sock drawers. Politically, yeah, pretty stable. Like a rod. A very well-engineered, precisely calibrated rod.
You don't really hear about Germany suddenly deciding to have a revolution over breakfast, do you? It's more like we've scheduled a mild disagreement for Tuesday at 10 a.m. Please bring your agendas.
More like we've formed a committee to discuss the possibility of maybe considering a potential debate about a slight adjustment to a minor policy in approximately 6 months. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Predictability is good, especially if you're trying to, build a life somewhere.
It's like knowing your favorite coffee shop will be open and serving your latte exactly how you like it every morning. That's political stability in coffee form. And socially, Germany feels pretty harmonious too, doesn't it? Like everyone's mostly on the same page, even if that page is written in very, very long sentences.
Harmonious. In a let's all follow the rules and efficiently recycle kind of way, yeah. Socially, it's maybe less spontaneous street partying, more organized neighborhood association meeting to discuss noise levels after 10 p.m. But again, depends what you're after.
Sure. Maybe not spontaneous salsa dancing in the streets every Tuesday, but you probably won't accidentally wander into a riot either. And there's something to be said for knowing what to expect, right? Less drama, more bratwurst and beer in a peaceful beer garden. Oh!
Bratwurst and beer in a peaceful beer garden, that's the German dream, Mira. And politically, yeah, they've got a solid system, strong economy, all that good stuff. Less, shall we say, excitement in the political arena than some other places.
Okay, now let's hop across the pond to the United States. Political stability and social harmony in the US. It's a bit more roller coaster-y, wouldn't you say?
Roller coaster-y is putting it mildly, Mira. More like a political demolition derby, maybe? Social harmony? let's just say it's a work in progress. A very loud, opinionated, and occasionally televised work in progress.
Demolition Derby is accurate. It's definitely never boring, is it? Like, you always know as so METHING is going to happen. Keeps you on your toes. Maybe a bit too much. Maybe a bit too much on your toes sometimes. Oops.
Keeps you on your toes or gives you permanent foot cramps from clenching them so hard. Politically, the US system is robust, let's say. Lots of checks and balances, which is good, but
It's like, in Germany, political news is on in the background, like elevator music. In the US, it's the main event screaming for your attention 24/7. You can't escape it if you try. Whoa.
you can't escape it. And half the time you're not even sure what they're arguing about. But it sounds very AOLYINPORTANTN del OUD. Social harmony in the US as well. It's a melting pot, right? Lots of different flavors, which is amazing. But sometimes those flavors clash a bit or explode.
The melting pot is a lovely image, but sometimes it feels more like a food fight in a cafeteria. Lots of ingredients flying around, not always blending nicely. But hey, maybe that's part of the American charm? It's dynamic. Oh!
Dynamic, energetic occasionally descends into chaos, all accurate descriptions of the US political and social scene, Mira. It's definitely lively. You'll never be bored, unless you crave boredom, in which case, maybe Germany's more your speed.
If you're after a place where things are predictable, rules are followed, and political debates are probably conducted via strongly worded letters, Germany might be your jam. If you want a place where things are, well, let's say interesting, and you like a bit of drama with your democracy, then the US is definitely the show to watch. Well.
Exactly. Germany's like a well-oiled machine, maybe a beige. The US is like a brightly colored, slightly unpredictable, but endlessly fascinating Rube Goldberg machine. Both get the job done, just very different styles.
So for political stability and social harmony, Germany is the calm, reliable friend, and the US is the exciting, slightly chaotic, but always entertaining cousin. It really depends on what kind of family gathering you're in the mood for.
Perfectly put, Mira. Germany cozy Sunday dinner with the relatives you actually like. The US Thanksgiving at your uncle's house where someone always ends up arguing about politics by dessert. Take your pick, folks. And for more country comparisons, don't forget to check out Don't forget to check out Gen Off, where we probably have articles about, well...
And if you're enjoying this podcast, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It's free, and it makes us feel like we're actually making sense amidst all this country chaos. Oh, onwards to next topic. Leo, what's up next? Aha, all right, Leo, buckle up, because we're diving into the thrilling world of economics. Ooh, but don't worry, I promise to make it less boring than your average tax form. Today, we're tackling Germany versus the United States when it comes to the big bucks and where your bucks go further or disappear faster.
Disappear faster, that's my kind of economics. Mira, you make it sound like we're about to compare amusement parks, not economies. But okay, let's talk wallets. Germany and the US, huh? One's famous for sausages and efficiency, the other for, well, supersized everything? So, who wins the economic showdown? Or at least who makes your bank account cry less?
Let's start with jobs. Because without a job, honey, economics is just a fancy word for ramen noodles for dinner every night. Ouch. Germany, land of engineering and surprisingly good bread. They're known for having a pretty solid job market, right? Like, if you're good at building things or making cars that don't break down after a week, you're golden.
Golden. Maybe not gold-plated, Mira. But yeah, Germany's job market is like a well-oiled, very punctual machine. Lots of manufacturing, engineering gigs, as you said. If you're into precision and order, Germany's calling. Plus, they actually value skilled trades, unlike some places where everyone wants to be an influencer. Oops. Did I say that out loud?
Influencer economics. Now, that's a podcast topic for another day. But seriously, the US job market as well. Let's just say it's a bit more of a roller coaster, right? High highs, low lows, and sometimes you feel like you're just hanging on for dear life. Well, Silicon Valley dreams versus some Main Street realities.
Main Street realities starring minimum wage and existential dread. The US job market is definitely more dramatic. Big tech, finance, entertainment, huge potential for big bucks, sure. But also a lot more competition, and the safety net is, let's call it, minimalist chic. You gotta hustle harder in the US. Mira? Unless you inherit a tech company from your cat.
My cat just inherits my empty tuna cans, sadly. But you're right. Hustle culture is definitely a thing in the US. Germany seems more about work to live, while the US is sometimes more live to work until you drop. Ouch. Which brings us to the dreaded C-word, cost of living. Prepare your wallets, listeners.
Cost of living, the horror movie franchise of adulthood. In Germany, you hear about reasonable rents, especially outside the big cities. Like, you can actually afford an apartment without selling a kidney? Wow, is that even possible in this day and age?
Germany's rent control is like a mythical creature whispered about in hushed tones in places like New York or San Francisco. And groceries? I hear Little and Aldi are your budget best IS in Germany, keeping your fridge full without emptying your bank account.
Little and Aldi, the discount superheroes. Yeah, Germany is generally more sensible about prices. Public transport is good, healthcare is pretty good, healthcare is pretty solid and not going to bankrupt you. It's like they designed a society that, functions for regular humans. Imagine that.
Sounds like science fiction. Okay, now let's brace us for the US cost of living thunderdome. Rent in major US cities? Prepare to pay more than your monthly therapy bills. Oops, did I say that out loud too?
Therapy bills are definitely part of the US cost of living package. Rent in places like New York, LA, San Francisco, you're basically paying for oxygen in a closet. Whoa, groceries can be pricey depending on where you shop, and don't even get me started on healthcare. Ouch. That's a whole separate podcast of economic pain.
Healthcare costs in the US are like a surprise party you never wanted, and the surprise is always a bill. Makes you question your life choices. Ouch. But hey, at least gas is sometimes cheaper in the US, right? Small victories?
Gas prices in the US, the economic mood ring. They go up, they go down, nobody knows why. But yeah, generally cheaper than Europe. Though, you might need to drive everywhere in the US, so those savings might just evaporate. Like my coffee budget every month.
Just like my paycheck after rent. So, overall, if you're looking for a more predictable and less wallet-hemorrhaging economic experience, Germany seems to be the winner. Like, you can actually plan your budget without having a panic attack? Wow!
Predictable is Germany's middle name, economically speaking. The US is more exciting. If your idea of excitement is financial anxiety and wondering if you can afford to fix your car this month, oops. But hey, the potential for big earnings is there in the US, if you hit the jackpot.
Hitting the jackpot or just hitting the pavement trying to make ends meet? I guess it depends on your risk tolerance and your tolerance for ramen noodles. For long-term financial planning, Germany seems a bit more zen.
Zen economics in Germany versus adrenaline economics in the US. If you want stability and a decent quality of life without constant financial juggling, Germany is probably your jam. If you're chasing the American dream and willing to gamble your savings on it, then well, good luck in the US. Wow. And maybe invest in a good therapist.
Therapist recommendation, essential part of any US relocation guide. So, to wrap up our economic throwdown, Germany's sensible, stable, sausage-fueled United States roller coaster ride, high risk, high reward, and potentially high therapy bills. Listeners, choose your economic adventure wisely. And maybe check out Jetafay. And maybe check out Jetafay AI for more practical tips. Because we're just comedians, not financial advisors.
Exactly, Mira. We're here for the jokes, not the stock tips. But seriously, Jet Off AI probably has actual useful info, unlike us just riffing on economic stereotypes. So, check them out, and maybe send us some of that German bread. I'm getting hungry.
Alright, Leo. Let's dive into where people actually live in these countries, shall we? Accommodation? Glorious accommodation. For Germany and the US. It's like comparing, a perfectly engineered German car to a really big American truck.
Mira, your analogies are getting wilder by the episode. But yeah, housing. In Germany, you're looking at solid, dependable places, maybe a bit like those German cars, efficient, well-built, and maybe not always screaming, "Look at me."
Think apartments, right? So many apartments in Germany. Like, if you picture German housing as a food, it'd be a very well-organized, multi-layered kick of apartments. Ooh, and they're generally pretty good quality, aren't they? Like, you're not going to find, a cardboard box situation.
Unless you're really looking for rock-bottom prices, then maybe. But generally, yeah, German apartments are known for being well-maintained, solid construction. Think double-glazed windows, good insulation. They take their ordnance seriously, even in buildings. It's not all castles and Lederhausen, folks.
No Lederhausen apartments, sadly. Though that would be a theme park idea, right? But in the US, it feels like everything is bigger. Like, accommodation is supersized. Well, you get these sprawling houses, especially in the suburbs. It's like the land of the detached single-family home, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. America's got space for days. So, you get these big houses with yards. Maybe a white picket fence if you're living the dream. It's the land of my castle is my house, and it's bigger than yours. Though, quality-wise, it can be a bit more varied than in Germany.
Varied is a nice word, Leo. Sometimes, you see those American houses on TV and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And sometimes you see them and you're like, did they build that out of paper match? Oops. It's a bit of a gamble, maybe.
A gamble, a lottery, a roll of the dice. You might get a place where the walls are thinner than my patience in a traffic jam. It really depends on where you are in the US. Newer builds can be efficient, let's say, while older places can have character or character flaws.
Like, this house has character and a family of squirrels living in the attic. But speaking of location in Germany, you're often in these, like, apartment blocks in cities, right? It's all about that urban living vibe.
Yeah, city living in Germany often means apartments. You're close to everything, public transport is usually great. It's efficient, practical. Think urban hive rather than sprawling ranch. But if you want a house with a garden in Germany, you're often looking at the suburbs or smaller towns, and that commute might be a thing.
Commute mania. Nobody wants that. But in the US, it feels like you can get houses everywhere. Like, even in big cities, you can find houses, right? It's less apartment-centric, maybe.
Less apartment-centric, unless you're in a super dense city like New York or Chicago. But yeah, even in major US cities, you'll find houses, townhouse. But yeah, this is all about options, even if some of those options are architecturally questionable. Whoa.
Architecturally questionable. Another nice way to put it, Leo. Quality, though, is it fair to say German building standards are generally stricter? Like, they're more likely to build something that will last for centuries?
Centuries? Maybe not centuries, but yeah, German building standards are generally pretty high. They're known for their engineering, remember. They don't mess around with building codes. In the US, it's more build it fast, build the mortgage is paid off. Okay. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little, just a little.
But it's true, isn't it? Like, in Germany, things are built to last, to be efficient, to be well German. While in the US, it's more about is it big? Does it look good on Instagram?
Instagrammable housing. That should be a real estate category in the US. Luxury, spacious, and perfectly filtered for your social media needs. But seriously, when you're looking at rentals, especially in German cities, you might find places a bit smaller than what you'd expect in the US for the same price.
Smaller and maybe less flashy. Like, German apartments are always about the granite countertops and stainless steel everything, are they? It's more about functional and comfortable?
Functional, comfortable, and maybe with a beige kitchen. Germans are practical people, and their apartments often reflect that. You might not get the bells and whistles, but you'll get solid, reliable housing. In the US, especially in newer apartment complexes, it's all about the amenities, gyms, pools, rooftop terraces. You're paying for the lifestyle, not just the walls.
Lifestyle over beige kitchens. Got it. So, looking for solid quality and don't mind a smaller space, Germany could be great. If you want space and maybe some flash, and you're willing to potentially gamble on quality, then the US is your place?
Pretty much. And cost is a huge factor, of course. Major German cities, especially places like Munich or Hamburg, are getting pricey for rentals, but then again, try renting in San Francisco or New York City. Suddenly Munich looks like a bargain. Whoa!
Suddenly Munich looks like a village price-wise. It's all relative, isn't it? But for expats, it's good to know what to expect. Solid, reliable, maybe a bit smaller in Germany. Bigger, potentially flashier, maybe a bit more variable in the US. And both can be expensive depending on where you go.
Exactly. Do your research, folks. Check out sites like Jetoff AI for more detailed comparisons, and definitely watch videos on YouTube to get a real feel for housing in both countries. Don't just rely on our coffee-fueled ramblings.
Coffee fuel, but hopefully informative ramblings. And if you like our ramblings, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. Oh, maybe we should do an episode just on beige kitchens of Germany versus neon pink kitchens of the US.
Neon pink kitchens? Mira, you're dreaming? But hey, for more realistic comparisons and less colorful commentary, check out Jetoff AI. They probably have actual data on kitchen colors, who knows? Alright, what's next on our list? Alright, what's next on our list? Sounds like fun.
Alright, Leo, let's tackle something that can make even the most seasoned traveler sweat a bit. Visas, immigration, and all those official procedures. Comparing Germany and the US, who do you think crawls out the less angled red carpet?
Read carpet? Mira, for most of us, it feels more like a red tape jungle when it comes to visas and immigration. But between Germany and the US, it's like choosing between two different brands of jungle machetes. Both will get you through eventually, but one might give you fewer paper cuts.
I imagine German efficiency extends even to their bureaucracy, right? Like, you fill out Form A42, submitted in triplicate, unbound visa in hand. Aha. Or is that just wishful thinking?
Wishful thinking, my friend, is a beautiful thing, but bureaucracy laughs in the face of wishes. Germany is efficient, sure, but efficient bureaucracy is still bureaucracy. Think of it as a well-oiled machine that still requires you to feed it endless amounts of paper.
So, Germany's efficient paper-pushing machine versus what's the US approach? Is it more like a digital obstacle course with pop-up pads and CAPTHHS every step of the way?
CEPTCHA tests are definitely involved, Mira, and pop-up pads for faster processing that lead to more forms. The US system feels less like a machine and more like a labyrinth designed by someone who really enjoys forms.
Oh, if you're just popping over to Germany for a quick beer and a sausage, the Schengen visa seems pretty straightforward, right? Like, tourist-friendly bureaucracy.
Relatively straightforward for tourists from certain countries, yes. Think of it as the express lane at the bureaucratic supermarket. But even express lanes have queues, Mira. And if you're not from a visa-exempt country, things get a bit more German equally thorough.
German equally thorough. I love it. So, probably translates to bring all your documents, your grandma's birth certificate, and maybe a blood sample, just in case. Oops.
Don't forget a signed affidavit from your neighbor confirming you're not a secret agent, Mira, and possibly a DNA sample, just to be extra thorough. But seriously, for longer stays in Germany, like work or study, the process can get quite involved, even for EU citizens sometimes.
Even for EU citizens? So, efficiency doesn't necessarily mean easy. It just means they're very organized while making it complicated. What about the US? Is it easier to, say, move there for work compared to Germany?
Easier is a relative term, like delicious airline food. The US has different visa categories, alphabet soup of them home B, long O1, and so on. Each with its own set of hoops to jump through, often involving proving you're exceptionally talented or that your company really needs you.
So you're not just filling out forms, you're practically auditioning for a role in Mission Impossible. And what about the interviews? I hear US visa interviews can be intense.
Intense is one word. Think of it as a pop quiz on your entire life, conducted by someone who's had a very long day. They'll ask about your job, your family, your travel history, your favorite color, possibly your dreams. You feel like you're trying to convince them you're not planning to overstay your welcome, even if you're just going for a week-long vacation.
Convincing someone you're not planning to elope with the Statue of Liberty. That sounds stressful. So, Germany might be thorough, but the US sounds more like a psychological evaluation wrapped in bureaucracy.
Psychological evaluation is a good way to put it, Mira. And if you're thinking about immigration, migration, like getting a green card in the US or permanent residency in Germany, buckle up. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Actually, it's more like an ultramontron through a bureaucratic swamp.
A bureaucratic swamp. Ouch. So, neither country is exactly handing out keys to the city at the border. But if you had to pick, Leo, which bureaucratic swamp would you rather wade through? Germany's efficient but complex swamp, or the US's labyrinthine swamp?
Of choice. Germany's swamp is at least logically laid out, even if it's dense. The US swamp feels more like you're constantly second-guessing if you're even on the right path. Maybe Germany, if the signs are unclear, a very official German.
Official German. I can just imagine the signs. Attention. Swamp ahead. Proceed with Form Z98 and caution. So, for official procedures beyond just visas like registering your address or opening a bank account, are they equally swampy in both countries?
Equally swampy, maybe slightly different kinds of swamp. In Germany, registering your address, the Anmeldung, is crucial and very German. Efficient, yes, but you must do it. Miss it, and you might find yourself in a bureaucratic pickle.
A bureaucratic pickle? Ugh. I do not want to be in a bureaucratic pickle. What about the US? Is it less formal once you're in?
Less formal in some ways, more complicated in others. In the US, things can be decentralized. Each state, even each centralized. Each state, even each city, might have slightly different procedures. Opening a bank account can be surprisingly easy, but then getting a driver's license can feel like another immigration process all over again.
Driver's license bureaucracy as a sequel to visa bureaucracy. That's sufficient in its own way, I guess. Making sure you're really committed to being there.
Committed? Or just incredibly patient, Mira? Patient and armed with a lot of caffeine. Because dealing with official procedures in either Germany or the US definitely requires copious amounts of caffeine.
Caffeine and maybe a good sense of humor. Because if you can't laugh at the absurdity of filling out Form 27B for the third time, you might just cry. So, listeners, if you're planning a move to either Germany or the US, our expert advice is pack your patience, your paperwork, and a whole lot of coffee. And maybe visit Jet for some stress-free travel planning to get you there in the first place.
Exactly, Mira. And maybe a stand-up comedy routine ready, just to vent about the process afterwards. Because trust me, you'll have material. On that note, what bureaucratic mountain shall we climb next time, Mira?
Our current topic. We compare access to and quality of health services into countries, examining healthcare through an expat lens. From System Stats too.
System Stats? Huh? Sounds thrilling as watching paint dry, Mira. Hey, but alright, healthcare. Vital stuff, especially when you're a bewildered expat in a new land trying to figure out a club or a hospital.
Leo, you always make it sound like we're deciphering alien languages. But seriously, when you move to a new country, knowing you can get good medical help without selling a kidney is kinda important, right?
Kidney selling? Ah, the American dream. Just kidding, folks. Oh, but yeah, healthcare. In Germany, they've got this statutory health insurance, Gesetzliche Krankenversicherung. Sounds like a tongue twister designed by committee, doesn't it?
Gesetzlich Krankens Wirkens. Wow, you pronounced that perfectly, Leo. See, listeners, Leo's secretly fluent in German. But yes, it's like everyone basically has to be insured in Germany, right? It's the law?
Yeah, law of the land. And for most people, it's this public system. Then there's private Krankenswerkens for the hirers, or, if you're feeling fancy and want to pay extra for quicker appointments and maybe a gold-plated stethoscope.
Gold-plated stethoscope. Only in Germany, Leo. But in the US, it's a whole different ballgame, isn't it? More like choose-your-own-adventure healthcare.
Adventure is one word for it, Mira. Wild west of wellness, maybe. Mostly employer-sponsored insurance, or you can buy it yourself on the marketplace. Or just roll the dice and hope you stay healthy.
Ouch. That sounds a bit risky for my taste, Leo. So, in Germany, pretty much everyone is covered. A safety net, if you will.
Pretty much. And it covers a lot. Doctor visits, hospital stays, prescriptions though, don't expect them to cover your aromatherapy sessions for existential dread.
Existential dread aromatherapy coming soon to a German cast near you. But seriously, what about the quality? Is German healthcare top-notch?
Oh, absolutely. Germany's got a reputation for excellent healthcare. Modern facilities, highly trained doctors, all that jazz. They are like the engineers of medicine, precise and efficient. Wow.
Engineers of medicine? I love that, Leo. So in Germany, you're probably in good hands if you say, break a leg while attempting to yodel in Lederhausen?
Lederhausen yodeling injuries. Probably a common occurrence in Bavaria, Mira. And yes, they'll fix you right up. But in the US, quality-wise, they're no slouches either, right?
No, not at all. US healthcare can be amazing, especially if you're talking about cutting-edge treatments and specialized doctors. Like, if you need a robot surgeon who also moonlights as a stand-up comedian, America's your place.
Robot surgeon comedians. No, that's healthcare of the future, Mira. But is it accessible to everyone in the US, that top-notch quality? That's the million-dollar question, or maybe the million-dollar medical bill question.
Access is a tricky part in the US. If you have great insurance, you're golden. But millions are uninsured. Oops. It can be a real financial tightrope walk.
Tightrope walk, indeed. In Germany, access is generally more universal. You might wait a bit longer for some specialist appointments, but emergency care, you're covered. No one's going to ask for your credit card before patching you up after that Lederhausen yodeling incident.
Lederhausen yodeling, the gift that keeps on giving. So, for expats, what does this mean? If you're moving to Germany, healthcare is less of a worry. It sounds like...
Pretty much. Get yourself registered, get insured, and you're in the system. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Well, maybe not lemon squeezy. It's still bureaucracy, but manageable German bureaucracy. Ah!
Manageable German bureaucracy, that's a phrase I never thought I'd hear, Leo. But good to know. And for expats heading to the US, insurance is priority number 1, 2, and 3.
Bingo. Sort out your insurance ASAP. Research your options. Understand your coverage. Otherwise, a simple doctor's visit could feel like you're suddenly financing a small space program. Ouch!
Financing a space program for a flu shot. Oh. Okay. Point taken. So, Germany for healthcare peace of mind. Maybe US for robotic, comedian surgeons and adventure.
Adventure, yes. And potentially amazing, cutting-edge care if you can navigate the system and afford it. Both have pros and cons as usual. It's all about what you value most, and maybe how good you are at yodeling in Lederhausen without falling and breaking something.
Oh, they. Listeners, if you're planning a Lederhaus, unyodeling tour, maybe Germany's your safest bet healthcare-wise. But if you dream of robot surgeons and have a knack for insurance paperwork, the US is waiting. And if you like this comparison, you know what to do, like and subscribe on YouTube.
Don't forget to check out JetOff AI for more country comparisons on expat tips. And maybe some Lederhausen yodeling tutorials, who knows. Until next time, stay healthy, folks.
Okay, Leo, buckle up because we're hitting the road. Or should I say the rails and runways? for our transportation face-off. We're talking about getting around in Germany versus the good old US of A.
Mira, you're already making me picture myself trying to navigate the Berlin Bahn with a suitcase the size of a small car. Transportation, huh?
And Germany, let's be honest, is kind of famous for its efficiency, right? Like, their trains are so punctual. You could set your watch by them. Or maybe get slightly intimidated if you're a millisecond late.
Yeah, German punctuality is legendary. It's like their trains run on a schedule written in stone, while in the US, sometimes the schedule feels more like a suggestion. Train arriving sometime. This afternoon, maybe. Ah!
I feel like you could hop on a train in Munich and end up precisely where you planned in Hamburg, give or take like 0 seconds. Ooh. In the US, you might start in New York and end up, well, hopefully somewhere vaguely in the direction of Los Angeles.
True story. The US is vast, Mira, vast. So vast, Mira, vast. So vast, you could drive for a day and still be in Texas. Whoa, that's why cars are king here, right? Big roads, big everything.
It's like in some parts of the US, if you don't have a car, you're basically living in the Stone Age. Meanwhile, in Germany, you can practically live your whole life relying on their public transport. From slick ICE trains to those adorable little trams.
Adorable trams. I love that. Though, let's not forget the Autobahn in Germany. That's like the ultimate freedom fantasy for car lovers, right? No speed limits and sections. It's like go on, car. Be free. Just don't blame me for the speeding ticket.
Imagine explaining the Autobahn to someone who's in, say, downtown Manhattan. No speed limit? But how does that even work? Wow. Their minds would explode.
Explode? Precisely. In the US, we have the interstate system, which is impressive in its own way. Miles and miles of highways stretching across the country? Perfect for those epic road trips, you know. Just you, the open road, and the questionable gas station coffee.
Oh yes, the American road trip. Iconic. Are those Heinz, I wonder? Are those highways just too big? Like, you drive for hours and the scenery barely changes. Ooh. In Germany, even on the Autobahn, you're zipping past cute little towns and rolling hills.
True, US highways can be a bit monotonous. You see a lot of asphalt and billboards for world's biggest ball of twine or something equally fascinating. But hey, at least the roads are generally pretty well maintained, right?
Yeah, road quality in both countries is generally good, I'd say. Germany's probably got the engineer perfection thing going on, so maybe their roads are extra smooth. Like, gliding on butter smooth.
Butter smooth. Love it. But let's be real. In some parts of the US, especially in older cities, the roads can be character building, shall we say. Potholes the size of small cars. Anyone.
Pothole roulette. Yeah, American city infrastructure can be a bit rustic in places. But hey, it adds to the charm, right? Right?
Charm. That's one word for it. Another word might be suspension testing. But seriously, when it comes to public transit within cities, Germany definitely has the edge. Their U-Bahn-S, S-Bahn-S trams buzzes, it's a well-oiled machine.
German city public transport is like a beautifully choreographed dance of buses, trains and trams all arriving and departing with clockwork precision. Oh, in the US, it's more of a freestyle interpretive dance, perhaps.
Say, interpretive dance? Perfect. Some US cities have amazing public transit, like New York or Chicago. But in many other places, it's, well, let's just say you wouldn't want to rely on it to get to a crucial job interview on time.
Yeah, in many US cities, public transit is more of a last resort rather than a convenient everyday option. It's a shame, because when it's good, like in those big cities you mentioned, it's really good. Wow.
Exactly. And think about airports too. Germany has some major international hubs like Frankfurt and Munich, known for being efficient and well-organized. Surprised.
While the US has, well, we have a lot of airports. Some are fantastic, some are experiences. Whoa, let's just say, you might end up with a story or two after navigating a few US airports.
Stories. Oh yes, US airports are story generators. Delayed flights, questionable food court options. The sheer size of some of them, you could practically get lost for days in some of those terminals.
Lost for days. True. But hey, at least in the US you can usually find a decent cup of coffee at the airport, right? That's important for a caffeine addict like you, Leo.
Crucial. Mira, crucial. Coffee is the fuel that keeps the travel machine running. And while German coffee is good, American airport coffee, well, it's there.
So, overall, for transportation infrastructure and convenience, Germany is like that super organized friend who always has their itinerary perfectly planned. And the US is like the adventurous friend who might take a few detours but always has a wild story to tell at the end.
Perfectly put. Germany is the well-oiled machine, precision engineered, and the US is the spirited road trip, full of surprises and maybe a few potholes along the way. But both get you where you need to go.
Hey, if you're planning a trip and want to figure out the best way to get around, don't forget to check out Jet Off AI. They've got all sorts of travel tips and info.
Shameless plug, Mira, but a good one. Jetofe is your travel buddy for navigating the world, whether it's the Autobahn or the less than perfectly paved streets of some US cities.
Okay, next up, let's talk about... Alright, Leo. Let's chat about something that can really trip up travelers' language. We're diving into the wonderful world of language barrier and ease of communication comparing Germany and the United States. You ready to linguistically leap?
Linguistically leap? Mira, you make it sound like we're about to high jump over dictionaries. But yeah, language barriers definitely a thing. Especially for yours truly, who once ordered soup of the day in a foreign country and got. Well, let's just say it involved Tentry and got. Whoa, so Germany versus the US, huh? Let's see which one is easier to navigate without accidentally, or do I call back out of you without I come out of your bowl?
Oh, tentacles! Sounds like an adventure, but hopefully not the kind you want every day. Speaking of adventures, I remember trying to ask for directions in Germany once. I thought I was being so clever using my best Deutsch from that one language app. Turns out, I accidentally asked where the nearest talking pig was. The poor guy looked so confused. Oops.
A talking pig. Mira, you always manage to find the most unique linguistic misunderstandings. I can just picture that German guy scratching his head, thinking, is this another one of those weird tourists? But seriously, Germany. German is the official language. Makes sense, United States. On the other hand, officially, well, unofficially, it's. Or is it freedom? Let me check my Jet Off AI notes here, aha! Seems there's no official language at the federal level in the US. Mind blown.
Wow, no official language in the US. That's actually kind of amazing in a chaotic, beautiful way. It's like a language party where every owner is invited to bring their own dialect. Oh. But, practically speaking, Mia, does that mean it's easier or harder to get around in the EU as compared to Germany, language-wise?
Well, Mira, for most international travelers, especially English speakers, you like linguistically walking on sunshine and rainbows. You can pretty much yell WHE, RESD, RESDC, NEA, RESDC, NEISDC, NEA, or ES. EC any corner of the US and someone will point you in the right direction, probably while offering you a refill before you even ask. Germany, not so much. While English is spoken, especially in Turschensbach, by younger generations, you might find yourself pantomiming more often.
Pantomiming for coffee? Boom. That's right, Leo. In the US, English is so widespread. It's almost like a superpower for tourists. You can order a triple venti half CIFC soy latte with extra foam without breaking a sweat. Try doing that in rapid-fire German when you reach land. Ouch. Although, I bet a German barista would be super precise with your order. Even if they look slightly bewildered.
Precise and bewildered. That's the German barista vibe in a nutshell. But yeah, for pure ease of communication, the US wins hands down for English speakers. However, let's not forget about language diversity. The US, because it's a melting pot or maybe a salad bowl these days, is incredibly linguistically diverse. You can walk down a street in some parts of the US and hear 5 different languages without even trying.
The US is like a linguistic rainbow. You've got Spanish, Chinese, Hindi, Tagalog, the list goes on and on. It's like a United Nations of tongues. Oh, Germany, while maybe not as diverse in everyday street chatter, has also become much more multilingual over the years, especially with immigration. You hear Turkish, Arabic, Russian, it's definitely changing.
True, Germany's becoming more of a language buffet, but English still isn't quite the default setting like it is in many parts of the US. And that can be a good thing and a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. If you orient yourself in German culture, being forced to use German is great. If you just want to quickly grab a schnitzel and ask where the bathroom is, maybe less great.
Schnitzel and bathroom emergencies. The universal traveler's plight. But you're right, Leo. That language immersion thing is real. In Germany, you kinda have to at least attempt German. Even if it's just bitten dank schon. Whereas in the US, you can, in theory, live your entire life in English and be perfectly fine. Although, you'd miss out on so much of the cultural flavor.
Flavor is the key word, Mira. Think of it like this, the US is like ordering a plain burger, easy, familiar, always available. Germany is like trying to decipher a fancy German menu, a bit more challenging. Might involve some pointing and hoping, but potentially way more rewarding if you nail it. And both can be delicious, just in different ways.
I like that analogy, Leo. Burger versus fancy German menu. So, bottom line, for pure ease of communication, especially for English speakers, the US is the winner. But Germany offers a chance to brush up on your German skills and maybe learn how to properly order a talking pig. Just in case.
Exactly. And hey, if you do manage to find the talking pig in Germany, Mira, please get its autograph for me. I need new material. In the meantime, folks, if you're planning a trip and want to decode those fancy German menus, or just figure out where to find the best burger in the US, Jedalfei, I might just have some language learning tips for you. Just saying.
Sneaky plug for Jedalfei. Leo, definitely check out Jedalfei for all your travel language needs. And maybe some tips on avoiding accidental talking pig requests. Just in case. Okay, what's next on our list, Leo? Let's see what other cultural comparisons we can cook up. Alright, Leo. Let's jump into a topic that's super interesting: cultural diversity and tolerance. Comparing Germany and the US on this is gonna be like comparing pretzels and apple pie. Both delicious but totally different, right?
Pretzels and apple pie, Mira? You always manage to bring food into everything. But yeah. Right? Diversity and tolerance, it's a big one. For Germany and the US, it's like comparing a meticulously organized spice rack to a spice bazaar. Both got spices, but one's got labels and the other's just chaos.
Chaos can be fun though, Leo. But think about Germany. It's becoming more and more diverse, especially after the guest worker programs and recent immigration. You've got Turkish communities, Eastern Europeans, people from all over. It's not just Lederhausen and sausages anymore, is it?
Definitely not just sausages anymore, Mira. Though, let's be honest, sausages are still pretty important in Germany. But yeah, Germany's definitely shifted from that image of pure Bavarian villages. It's like they've opened up a global buffet next to the beer garden. You walk around Berlin now, and you hear a dozen languages before you even find someone speaking German. Whoa.
And the US, Leo, is like the original melting pot or maybe a salad bowl now, they say. Generations of immigrants from everywhere. It's in their DNA. Oy. From Little Italy to Chinatown to Koreatown, it's like the world decided to have a giant party in one country.
A party where everyone brought their own playlist and sometimes they clash over the speakers, maybe. But yeah, the US has always been this grand experiment in throwing everyone together and seeing what happens. Sometimes it's a beautiful symphony, sometimes it's a bit more like a garage band practicing next to an opera house.
But that's the beauty of it, right? In Germany, you see efforts to integrate immigrants, like language courses and cultural programs. They're trying to build bridges, make everyone feel like they belong, even if it's sometimes a bit structured, you know? Uh-huh.
I think that we can counter that. Structured Germans? Never? But yeah, just kidding, Mira. But yeah, Germany's approach is often about order and integration. Like, come in, be welcome, but please follow the rules and learn German so we can all understand each other when we're efficiently queuing for bread.
All in the US, it's more like, come on in, bring your culture, your food, your music, and let's see what amazing new thing we can create together. It's more organic, maybe. Though, sometimes organic can also need a bit messy. Oops.
Messy like a Jackson Pollock painting, Mira. Beautiful chaos. The US approach is definitely more about embracing the mix, even if it leads to some spicy debate sometimes. It's like, we may disagree on everything, but we can still grab a burger together afterwards.
And tolerance, that's the key, isn't it? Germany has been working through its past, and there's a strong emphasis on anti-discrimination and promoting tolerance, especially after the World Wars. They're very serious about never again, which is super important.
Absolutely vital, Mira. Germany's history casts a long shadow, and it's pushed them to be very proactive about tolerance. It's like they're saying, we learned it the hard way. Folks, let's not repeat that mistake. And they've got laws and initiatives to back it up, making sure everyone gets the message.
And in the US, tolerance is often preached as a core value, freedom of speech, all that jazz. But it's also a country where you see very public debates about race, religion, identity. It's like tolerance is constantly being tested and renegotiated in the public square.
Tested and renegotiated, that's putting it mildly, Mira. It's more like a daily gladiatorial combat in the Colosseum of public opinion. The US has these amazing ideals of tolerance, but the reality is well more complicated. It's a constant struggle, a work in progress, like a reality show that never ends.
But maybe that constant debate, that tension, is also what keeps it dynamic, keeps it evolving. In Germany, sometimes it feels like tolerance is officially sanctioned, but maybe less spontaneously embraced in everyday life?
That's a good point. Mira, Germany might be more about institutional tolerance, like ticking the boxes and making sure the laws are in place. It's like, we have the tolerance policy, therefore we are tolerant. But hearts and minds, that's always a bit trickier to legislate.
While in the US, even with all the public shouting matches, there's also this incredible grassroots level of people from different backgrounds just living together, working together. It's messy, but it's real.
Real messy, Mira, real messy. But you're right, there's a raw, vibrant energy to American diversity. It's like everyone's thrown into the mix, and somehow, something new and often amazing comes out of it. It's like improvisational jazz. Sometimes it's, well, jazz.
We say neither country is perfect, but both are interesting in their own chaotic and structured ways. Germany, the organized spice war, and the US, the spice bazaar.
Precisely, Mira, Germany, the spice rack where everything is labeled and in its place, promoting tolerance through order. And the US, the spice bazaar where you might get haggled at and overwhelmed, but you'll find every flavor under the sun. Tolerance, in progress.
And for our listeners thinking of visiting Amazing, it really depends on what kind of spice you prefer in your life. Structured paprika or a wild chili mix.
Well said, Mira. And maybe, just maybe, both could learn a thing or two from each other. Germany could loosen up a bit, embrace the bizarre vibe. And the US maybe invests in a few more labels for the spice rack.
Food thought. Literally. Okay, Leo, what's next on our menu of comparisons? Oh, Our current topic, we compare educational opportunities on language schools into countries. From literacy rates to innovative teaching methods, we're diving into Germany versus the United States. It's like a schoolyard showdown, but with textbooks instead of dodgeball-s.
Textbook dodgeball, now that's an idea. Imagine getting hit with War and Peace instead of a rubber ball. Ouch, but seriously, education crucial stuff. Let's see if Germany and the US are top of the class or just detention regulars.
Well, let's start with the basics. Literacy rates. The ABCs of education. Both countries are pretty high up there, right? Like, almost everyone can read a menu, which is vital for survival, especially when you're as adventurous with food as I am. Oh.
Absolutely. If you can't read a menu, you might accidentally order haggis thinking it's ice cream. Whoa, nobody wants that surprise. Both Germany and the US boast super high literacy, pushing past 99%. It's like saying everyone's got their reading glasses on and ready to go. Pretty impressive.
Impressive indeed. So, it's not like we're comparing hieroglyphics class 2, actual reading. But when we talk about the quality of education, that's where things get interesting. Germany's got this reputation for being super rigorous and structured, like a perfectly built Lego castle. Well,
Lego castle education. I love it. Germany is all about that solid engineering, right? Their universities are world-renowned, often tuition-free, especially for undergrad. Free education. In America, free usually means you get a free plastic straw with your $10 coffee.
oh, that's so true. Free in the US often comes with a catch, or at least a hidden fee somewhere. Oops, but the US has its own educational giants too. Think Ivy League, Stanford, MIT names that sound like they belong in a superhero movie. Pa.
Superhero universities versus what would Germany's be? The Philosopher Academies? The Bierstein Institutes? Okay, maybe not. But yeah, US universities are powerhouses, especially for research and innovation. They attract students from all over the globe, like a magnet for brainpower.
Brainpower magnets. I love that. And speaking of innovation, what about teaching methods? Are we talking kelpboards and duncecaps in Germany? Or futuristic holograms in the US? Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit. Just a tad.
Hologram teachers are coming, I'm telling you. But for now, Germany leans towards a more traditional, theoretical approach, deep dives into subjects, real brain-bending stuff. The US? Maybe a bit more practical, career-focused, with a dash of let's think outside the box sprinkled in.
Think outside the box. America's favorite educational catchstraws. It's like, okay class, the box is gone, now what? But both approaches have their perks, right? Germany, you get that solid foundation. US, you get to, build your own box. Or maybe even a spaceship.
Spaceship education, now we're talking. But for folks wanting to learn the local lingo, language, schools are key. Germany for German makes sense. The US for English, also logical. But are the language schools themselves any different? Do they teach German Biersteins and English with Hollywood movies?
Bierstein German lessons. Sign me up. Though, maybe that's more for advanced classes. For beginners, probably more grammar books and pronunciation drills. German can sound a bit, let's just say efficient. US English schools. Maybe they're all about slang and pop culture. Yo, dude. Learn English.
Yo, dude, conjugate this verb. I can see it now. But yeah, German language schools probably focus on structure and accuracy because German grammar, yikes. English schools in the US may be more about conversational fluency, getting you chatting like a local, even if you sound like a character from a sitcom.
Sitcom English. Perfect for making friends and ordering coffee. Speaking of which, coffee break. This education talk is making my brain work overtime. But before we caffeinate, what about the cost? We touched on free university in Germany, US education costs. On the other hand, ouch.
Ouch is right. US college tuition can feel like you're buying a small country. Student debt is a national sport there. Germany's mostly freer, very low tuition is a massive advantage. It's like saying, come learn. We got you. America's more like, come learn, but also take out a mortgage. Ouch.
Mortgage for a degree. That's a scary thought. So, Germany is winning on the cost front. Big time. But what about student life? Are German campuses all about serious study sessions and libraries, while US campuses are like non-stop movie montages of parties and football games?
Movie montage campuses. The dream, right? US student life is definitely portrayed as more extracurricular. Fraternities, sororities, tailgates, all that jazz. Germany may be a bit more understated. Think student cafes, cultural events, exploring historic cities instead of keg stands. Though beer is still involved, let's be honest.
Beer's always involved somewhere, somehow. But yeah, different vibes for student life. U.S. loud and proud Germany, maybe more quietly cultured. Both sound pretty cool in their own way, depending on what kind of student you are.
Exactly. Want the full college experience as seen in movies? US might be your jam. Want a more focused European vibe with amazing travel opportunities on your doorstep? Germany could be calling your name. It's like choosing between a rock concert and a classical music festival. Both awesome, different flavors.
Rock concert versus classical festival, perfect analogy. So, for educational opportunities in language schools, it seems both Germany and the US are top contenders, just in different styles. Germany, the structured, affordable European option. US, the innovative, diverse, go big or go home choice. Well,
Go big or go into debt. Both offer fantastic education. If you're watching this on YouTube and trying to decide where to study, maybe check out Jet Off AI for more info on visas and living costs. Just saying.
shameless plug for Jet Off AI. Love it. But seriously, great point, Leo. Jet Off AI is your friend for all things travel and relocation, education included. So check them out. And if you like this comparison, hit that like button and subscribe. You know the drill.
Yeah. Subscribe for more brain-tickling comparisons. Maybe next time, we'll debate which country has better pigeons. The possibilities are endless. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Pigeon podcast coming soon, maybe. Bye for now, everyone. And remember, whether you choose Germany or the US for education, keep learning and keep laughing. It's the best education of all. Alright, Leo. Let's dive into weather talk. Because honestly, who hasn't complained about the weather at least once today? So, Germany versus the US in the climate department, huh? It's like comparing a schnitzel to a giant burger. Both delicious, but totally different experiences.
Mira, you always manage to bring food into everything, even the weather. But you're right, planet-wise, Germany and the US are like comparing a polite nod to a full-on arm-waving greeting. One's a bit reserved, the other one.
Germany, from what I hear, is like that reliable friend who's always prepared for a bit of rain, you know? For distinct seasons, pretty predictable, almost like they have a weather schedule they actually stick to. Well, imagine, Leo, a weather schedule.
A weather schedule. Mira, you're describing weather utopia. In the US, a weather schedule is more like a suggestion box the weather laughs at. We've got states where you can experience all four seasons in a single day, sometimes within the same hour.
That's intense. So Germany's more of an orderly for seasons kind of place then. Like, spring arrives politely, summer takes its turn, autumn gently knocks. And winter, well, winter probably just shows up when it feels like it. Even in Germany.
Pretty much. Germany's got that classic European climate thing going on. Mild summers, winters that can get chilly but not usually face-numbing, and Drano, yes, Germany knows rain. It's like their national beverage just served from the sky.
Sky-served beverages. I love it. So, if you're packing for Germany, it's layers, 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 layers like an onion. You just peel off our layers as the day goes on. Ooh, maybe that's why they have so many grapefruits.
Onion dressing is key in Germany, Mira. You could start the day in a t-shirt, by noon you're in a sweater, and by evening you're practically wearing a parka indoors. You just never know. But generally, think moderate, think umbrella.
Fashionable umbrella, of course. Because Germans are stylish, right? Even their umbrellas are probably chic. Now, the US is like a weather buffet, isn't it? You can have anything you want, sometimes all at once.
A weather buffet is a perfect way to put it, Mira. In the US, you've got scorching deserts, freezing tundras, swampy bayous, and everything in between. Want snow? Alaska? Want to feel like you're living in a sauna? Florida, baby, take your pick.
It's like a weather adventure park. So, if Germany is predictable, the US is unpredictably exciting? Whoa, like, you could wake up in the morning and have no clue if you need shorts or a nosewit.
Precisely. In some parts of the US, checking the weather forecast is more like reading a random number generator. They might say sunny, and you step outside into a blizzard. It keeps things interesting, let's say.
Interesting is one word for it. So, what about extreme weather? Germany, being all orderly, probably just gets a bit of rain and maybe a grumpy cloud now and then.
Germany does get its share of storms, especially in summer thunderstorms, hail, the occasional flash flood, but it's generally not on the scale of, say, a hurricane ripping through the coastline. They're more like polite extreme weather events.
Polite extreme weather. I can just imagine a thunderstorm politely knocking on the door before unleashing the rain. And the US? I'm guessing it's a different story. Whoa.
Oh, the US is where extreme weather goes to party. Hurricanes slamming into the coast, tornadoes tearing through the coast, blizzards burying the northeast, wildfires raging in the west. We've got it all. It's like Mother Nature decided to play every weather card in her deck.
Sounds intense. So, living in the US, you kind of have to be ready for anything weather-wise. Like, keep a tornado shelter in the backyard and a snow shovel by the door. Just in case.
Depending on where you live in the US, yes, absolutely. Tornado shelters, hurricane shutters, emergency kits, it's all part of the charm. We're resilient, Mira, we adapt. Although, sometimes I think we adapt by just complaining about it a lot.
Well, complaining is a universal language, right? But seriously, how do people adapt in Germany and the US? With these totally different weather vibes.
In Germany, adaptation is all about preparation and infrastructure. They build houses to withstand the winter chill, they have excellent public transport that mostly functions in snow, and everyone owns a good winter coat.
Love it! Very German. And in the US? Adaptation is crank up the AC in summer, crank up the heat in winter, and hope for the best. Plus, maybe buy a really, really big truck to drive through the snow.
Pretty much. In the US, we adapt by brute force and technology. Massive air conditioning, powerful heating systems, snow plows the size of small houses, and yes, the bigger the truck, the better you feel about facing any weather challenge.
So, Germany is all about working with the weather, and the US is about conquering the weather. That's a great way to put it.
Exactly. Germany lets build a sturdy house to keep the cold out. US lets invent a machine that makes it feel like summer indoors, even if it's a blizzard outside, both effective in their own dramatically different ways.
So, if you like predictable and prepared, go to Germany. If you like unpredictable and well, let's say weather adventurous, head to the US. Oh, it's like choosing between a cozy cottage and a roller coaster.
Perfect analogy, Mira. Germany is your cozy cottage with a fireplace, and the US is that roller coaster that makes you scream, laugh, and maybe question your life choices, all at the same time. But hey, at least it's never boring.
Never boring. That's definitely the US weather motto. Well, Leah, I think we've weathered this topic quite nicely. Anyone planning a trip now knows what kind of weather adventure awaits them in Germany or the US.
Indeed. And if you're still undecided, just flip a coin. Heads, you get German efficiency, tails, you get American weather case. Either way, pack an umbrella.
Right, Leo. Buckle up your Lederhausen, or should I say, your cowboy boots, cause we're diving head first into the wild world of food. Today, it's Germany versus the United States in a culinary clash for the ages. Think pretzels versus burgers, sauerkraut versus. Well, what even is uniquely American besides a pie?
Mira, you're already starting strong with the food fight. Cowboy boots and Lederhausen, a truly international fashion disaster waiting to happen. But you write food cultures HUGE and comparing Germany and the US. It's like comparing a finely tuned sausage making machine to a very enthusiastic hot dog stand.
Oh, enthusiastic hot dog stand, I like that. Seriously, when you think of German food, you think hearty, right? Like, you could build a house out of sausages and potatoes. It's all about tradition and those recipes passed down through generations. Ooh.
Absolutely. Germany is culinary history on a plate. Think about it, they practically invented beer gardens and the concept of comfort food centuries before it was trendy. Their food is like a warm, woolly blanket on a cold day. Meanwhile, American food, it's more like a sparkly, ever-changing, sometimes slightly chaotic buffet.
Chaotic buffet. Perfect. Because America, let's be honest, is a melting pot of, well, everything, including food. You can get tacos next to sushi next to pizza, all on the same block. It's amazing, but sometimes I wonder, does America actually have its own food culture? Or is it just borrowing everyone else's?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is American food culture just global cuisine remix edition? But hey, remixing can be an art form. Think jazz, think hip-hop, think the Kron UT. Aha! Okay, maybe the Kron UT is a questionable example of high art. But you get my point? America's food culture is its diversity. It's about taking influences from everywhere and making something new, even if it's sometimes aggressively portioned.
You just know we were going to get to portion sizes eventually. Everything's bigger in America, including your waistline, apparently. But in Germany, it's more about quality over quantity, right? Smaller portions, but packed with flavor and those amazing local ingredients.
Precisely. German food is all about savoring the experience, enjoying the taste. Maybe having a couple of those delicious small sausages. American food sometimes feels like a race to the finish line, especially those fast food challenges. Can you eat this entire mountain of fries in under 5 minutes? It's less about enjoying the food and more about conquering it.
That's a great way to put it, Leah. And speaking of ingredients, Germany is all about local and seasonal, isn't it? Farmers markets overflowing with fresh veggies, sausages made with who knows what goes into sausages, but they taste good.
Let's not dwell too much on sausage ingredients, Mira, for the sake of our listeners' breakfast. But yes, Germany is big on local and seasonal. They're all about farm to table before it was cool. Yes, on the other hand, with its vast agricultural landscape, it can be local and seasonal. But it's also got a lot of processed food, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Processed food, the American culinary adventure. Maybe that's too harsh. But you can't deny, America is the land of convenience food. Everything prepackaged ready to microwave, designed for maximum speed and minimal effort. Perfect for our busy, on-the-go lifestyles, right? Ouch, ouch.
Right. Convenience is king in the US and sometimes queen in the whole royal family, but that convenience often comes at a nutritional cost. Germany, while not immune to processed foods, still seems to value fresh ingredients and home-cooked meals a bit more, maybe because of that strong culinary tradition.
Tradition versus innovation? Is that the food battle here? Germany, the keeper of culinary traditions, and America, the innovator, always pushing boundaries, sometimes in questionable directions? Whoa! Like, I've seen some truly bizarre food combinations in the US. Deep-fried butter. Anyone. Ugh.
Deep-fried butter, the culinary equivalent of a daredevil stunt. But you know, that's part of the American spirit too. Pushing boundaries. Sometimes it results in culinary masterpieces, sometimes it results in deep-fried butter. But at least it's never boring.
Never boring, that's for sure. And when it comes to nutritional alternatives, America is definitely leading the charge in things like veganism, gluten-free, all those trendy diets. You can find a vegan version of practically anything in the US, from burgers to cheesecake. Wow.
True. America is diet central. You can find a diet for literally any belief system, lifestyle, or medical condition, and probably a few that were just invented yesterday. Germany is catching up for sure with more vegan options and health-conscious choices, but the EU has that market saturation thing going on when it comes to dietary alternatives.
Market saturation, I love that. It's like you can't swing a gluten-free ketanel without hitting a vegan bakery. Okay, maybe don't swing cats. Gluten-free or otherwise. Oops. But the point is, America is all about choice. Even when it comes to food, you want to eat healthy. Tons of options. You want to eat fried everything. Also tons of options.
So I think that we can conquer that. Exactly. It's the land of culinary freedom. You can eat whatever you want, however you want, however much you want. Sometimes I think America's national motto should be have it your way, unsupersize it. Germany, maybe their motto is more like savor the flavor and have another sausage, but just one more.
And have another sausage, but just one more. Leo, you've captured the German culinary spirit perfectly. Sir, food culture and nutritional alternatives Germany, traditional heartiness Germany, traditional hearty quality. United States, diverse, innovative, sometimes chaotic, and definitely supersized. Wow. It's a tough call. Which one wins this round?
It's like asking, do you prefer a cozy cabin in the woods or a bustling city penthouse? Both have their charms, right? For comfort and tradition, Germany. For variety and sheer culinary audacity, the US. Maybe the real winners are stomachs for getting to experience both.
Oh. The winners are stomachs. I like that, Leo. So, listeners, which culinary adventure sounds more delicious to you? Are you craving some German Gemütlichkeit or some American food freedom? Let us know in the comments on YouTube. Let if you like what you're hearing. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Do.
Absolutely. And for more delicious comparisons and travel insights, head over to Gen AI. You might just find your next food-fueled adventure. Thanks for tuning in, folks, and try not to get too hungry.
Our current topic, we compare the historical, cultural, and artistic values of two countries. From ancient landmarks to thriving art scenes and deep-rooted traditions, both Germany and the United States have got a lot to show off. Oh, it's like comparing a grand old castle to a shiny new skyscraper. Both impressive, but in totally different ways. Right, Leo?
But you are Mira. Though sometimes I think of it more like comparing a perfectly brewed German beer to a giant American soda. One's got centuries of tradition in every sip, the other, well, it's big and bubbly. But yeah, both countries are absolutely loaded with history and culture. Just gotta dig a bit different than all.
Let's start with Germany, shall we? I mean castles. Germany is practically swimming in fairy tale castles. Neuschwanstein, for example. Looks like it popped straight out of a Disney movie. Or maybe it inspired them. Wow. Imagine living there, Leo. You could wear a crown and everything.
And trip over suits of armor in the hallway. Sounds drafty. But yeah, Germany's got the medieval charm dialed up to 11. Think about Cologne Cathedral. Towering over everything took them centuries to build. Talk about commitment. Meanwhile, in the US, our ancient history is more like a really old diner from the 52nds.
Diners are historical landmarks in their own rights. American culture is younger, sure, but it's packed with its own kind of punch. Think about jazz, blues, rock and roll music that changed the world. That's American history you can dance to.
True, 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 true. America invented cool in the 20th century, no doubt. Hollywood, rock music, blue jeans all exported globally. But Germany was busy inventing, well, maybe not cool, but certainly influential. Think of classical music, Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, the 3 Bs of making your ears happy. Though, maybe not at 3 a.m.
Classical music at 3 a.m. might be a bit much for a party. But speaking of art, Germany's art scene is incredible too. From Durer-esque detailed engravings to Expressionism and Bauhaus, they've got movements that shaped modern art. Wow, it's like Germany is the masterclass in serious, thoughtful art, while America is the fun, experimental art school next door.
Fun experimental art school next door. I like that, Mira. America's got pop art, street art, comic books art and your comic books art that's accessible in your face. Thinking the Warhol Soupkins who knew soup could be so iconic? Germany's is more like, ponder this deeply for hours. America's is like, look at this. Isn't it wild?
Oh, there's definitely a good word for it. And culturally, Germany is known for its traditions at Oktoberfest, Christmas markets, Carnival. These festivals are HUGE unsteeped in history. Oh, it's like every German town has its own special way to celebrate something that's been going on for centuries.
Yeah, Germany knows how to party with tradition. Oktoberfests, mountains of beer, Lederhausen, Bier. On the other Hausen, Bands, it's a cultural institution. Whoa. America, on the other hand, our traditions are a bit newer, maybe a bit more commercial. Super Bowl Sunday, Thanksgiving Day parade, big events, but less about ancient roots, more about modern spectacle.
But American culture is also about diversity, isn't it? It's a melting pot of so many different cultures from around the world. You can find vibrant neighborhoods celebrating everything from Chinese New Year to Cinco de Mayo. Wow, that's a kind of cultural richness that's uniquely American, I think.
Absolutely. America's a cultural smoothie, everything blended together, sometimes a bit messy, but always interesting. Germany's more like a layered cake, distinct layers of history and region, each with its own flavor. Both delicious, just different recipes.
Now I'm hungry for cake and smoothies. But back to culture. German culture often gets described as more formal, maybe? Punctuality, directness, a love for rules that's the stereotype anyway. Is it true, Leo? Or are we being too stereotypical?
So I think that we can try to do that. Stereotypes exist for a reason, Mira. Germany does appreciate order and efficiency. Punctuality is a virtue, is practically their national motto, but it's not all stiff and formal. Germans also love to laugh. They have a great sense of humor, often a bit dry and sarcastic, just like yours truly.
Never. And American culture, in contrast, is often seen as more informal, relaxed, individualistic. Anything goes sometimes feels like the motto over there. It's all about expressing yourself, being yourself, even if yourself is wearing pajamas to the grocery store.
Pajamas at the grocery store, the height of American freedom. But yeah, individualism is huge in the US. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, follow your dreams, all that good stuff. Germany's more about community, maybe working together, following the rules for the common good. Again, different approaches both have their pluses and minuses.
And artistically, that individualism in America really shines through. Think about American literature, from Hemingway's stark prose to deep poets and modern novelists. It's all about exploring individual experience and pushing boundaries. Wow. It's like American artists are constantly reinventing the wheel. Or maybe just making it spin faster.
Spinning faster, definitely. American art and literature are restless, always moving, always changing. Germany's artistic tradition feels more grounded, maybe, deeply rooted in history, philosophy, and a certain seriousness. Think of Schiller, man, heavy hitters. Aha! But then, America's got Twain, Faulkner, Salinger, equally impactful. just a different vibe.
And when it comes to music, we already touched on classical and rock. But Germany also has a huge electronic music scene, especially in Berlin. Whoa! Berlin's clubs are legendary, and German techno is a global force. It's like Germany has a serious, historical side, but also the super cool, underground, cutting-edge side too.
Totally. Berlin is the city that never sleeps, fueled by techno and, well, maybe not beer, surprisingly, more like energy drinks. America's music scene is just everything. Hip-hop, metal, you name it, we've got it. New York, LA, Nashville music scene is capitals of the world, each with its own distinct sound.
So, when it comes to historical, cultural, and artistic values, it's not really about which country is better, is it? It's about appreciating the different paths they've taken and the amazing things they've created along the way. Germany with its castles and Beethoven, America with its jazz and skyscrapers, both are incredible in their own right.
Exactly, Mira. It's like comparing a vintage Porsche to a Tesla. Both amazing machines, both amazing machines, designed for different purposes, but both undeniably impressive. Oh, and both could probably use a good cup of coffee to fuel them. Actually, speaking of which...
All right, Leo. Speaking of stunning views, let's dive into natural beauties and landscapes for Germany and the United States. Ooh, because, let's be honest, sometimes we just need to escape the city and breathe some fresh air, right?
Mira, fresh air in Germany? Mira, fresh air in Germany? Last time I tried to find nature there, I ended up in a beer garden, which, don't get me wrong, is beautiful in its own way, especially after the third, but seriously, let's see if we can find some actual landscapes beyond Butterhausenman's sausages.
Oh, come on, Leo. Germany is way more than beer gardens. Think fairy tale forests, like straight out of Hansel and Gretel. Imagine those dark, mysterious woods, though, hopefully without the witch's gingerbread house. And the romantic Rhine Valley? Castles perched on hills overlooking vineyards. It's like a postcard come to life. Wow.
Postcard I got from Germany was a picture of a very efficient-looking Autobahn. Not exactly nature's embrace, Mira. But okay, I'll give you the Rhine Valley. Those castles do look pretty impressive. Though I bet the WI find those medieval towers is terrible. Now when we talk about landscapes, let's talk USA. We are talking Grand Canyon, Yellowstone. We're not the epic.
But sometimes epic is a bit overwhelming. You go to the Grand Canyon and it's so HUG. You just feel tiny and maybe a little insignificant. Germany's nature is more cozy epic. Does that make sense? Like, the Bavarian Alps are gorgeous mountains, but they're also covered in cute villages and cowbells ringing. Ooh, it's epic but with a side of Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit. Is that German for slightly less impressive epic? Okay, I see your point. Germany's nature is like curated nature. Like someone designed it to be pretty and comfortable, which is nice, I guess, if you like your nature per package. But the US, Mira, is raw and tamed wilderness. Deserts erupting, deserts stretching forever. Well, it's nature that hasn't been asked its opinion on anything.
Grizzly bears, are they cuddly? Just kidding. Yikes. Okay, untamed wilderness is definitely the US as superpower. But Germany has enchanted forests. Seriously, the Black Forest is supposed to be magical. Cuckoo clocks, wooden carvings, maybe even a no more to hiding behind a tree. You don't get gnomes in Yosemite, do you? You don't get gnomes in Yosemite.
Gnomes. Mira, I think you've been watching too many Disney movies. Last time I was in a German forest, I mostly saw trees. And maybe a squirrel plotting world domination. Look, the US's redwood forest where you can drive a car through a tree. Drive? Car! A car. Germany has paths, I'm sure, but paths nonetheless.
Okay, car through a tree is pretty cool, I admit. But Germany has islands. The North Sea and Baltic Sea coast of these charming islands, like silt, with wind-swept beaches and cute little lighthouses. Ah, imagine strolling along the beach, breathing in the salty air, maybe finding a piece of amber. It's so romantic. Ooh, amber is like nature's jewelry. Amber is like nature's jewelry.
Amber. In the US, we have gold, and mountains made of granite, and deserts that look like Mars. Mira, the US is like nature threw a party and invited every single landscape type on Earth. Germany's islands sound nice for a quiet afternoon, but for sheer breathtaking variety and scale, it's USA all the way.
But Germany has... Sure, the US wins on sheer size. But Germany has caves. Amazing caves. Like the Outer Cave with its stunning stalactites and stalagmites. It's like a whole other world underground. Mysterious and beautiful. And they sometimes have concerts in caves. Imagine listening to classical music deep inside the earth. How cool is that? Well...
Concerts in caves? Sounds a bit damp. In the US, we have caves too. Mammoth Caves, Carlsbad Caverns, caves so big you could probably fit all of Germany inside them. Okay, maybe not all of Germany inside them. Okay, maybe not all of Germany with wildflowers after the rain. Deserts that sing, figuratively speaking, of course. Unless you've had too much tequila, then many literally.
Does that sing? Are you making that up, Leo? Germany might not have singing deserts, but it has lakes. It has lakes. So many beautiful lakes. Lake Starnberg, Königssee crystal clear water surrounded by mountains. Perfect for swimming, boating, or just chilling by the shore of a picnic basket.
Picnics are nice, Mira, but have you ever seen Lake Tahoe? Or Crater Lake? Lakes so blue they look photoshopped? And we have Niagara Falls. A waterfall so powerful it makes you question your entire existence. Whoa, Germany has pretty lakes. Nice for ducks, I guess.
Ducks are adorable, Leo. And Germany's lakes are not just pretty, they are serene. Calm and peaceful. Perfect for escaping the hustle and bustle and finding your inner peace. And yoga by the lake. Or just meditating while listening to the gentle lapping of the water. Inner peace is priceless, you know.
Inner peace is great, Mira, but sometimes you need a bit of outer excitement. And for that, the US landscapes are unbeatable. We have volcanoes. Okay, maybe not erupting volcanoes right now, but dormant ones that are still incredibly impressive. And swamps in Alaska, and swamps in Louisiana. It's like a nature buffet.
Okay, the US is the nature buffet. Germany is more like a carefully curated nature-tasting menu. Smaller portions maybe, but each bite is delicious and full of flavor. And don't forget the heathlands. Like the Lundberg Heath with its vast open spaces covered in heather. In late summer, it turns into this gorgeous purple carpet. Ooh, purple nature. How cool is that? How cool is that?
Purple carpet of heather sounds like something you'd vacuum. Both countries have beautiful nature, no doubt. If you want scale and drop hour, it's the US. If you want charming and cozy, maybe Germany wins. But let's be honest, Mira, if you're refilming for YouTube, a video of the Grand Canyon is gonna get a few more likes than a video of a gem and forest path. Just saying.
Likes are not everything, Leo. Sometimes you need to appreciate the quiet beauty, the subtle charm. And Germany has that in spades. But, hey, both are amazing in their own way. And if you want to see more, check out Jet Off AI for travel inspiration. Maybe we can even plan a trip to both and compare them ourselves. Ooh.
A Jet Off AI sponsored nature road trip. Now you're talking, Mira. As long as there's coffee and Wi-Fi along the way, I'm in. And maybe, just maybe, just maybe, I'll even find a gnome in those German forests.
Our current topic, we compare sports, activity, and adventure options into countries. From celebrated national sports to daring outdoor pursuits and activities. Let's see how Germany and the United States stack up. Ooh,
Right, sports. Because nothing says friendly banter like arguing about whose national pastime is more exciting. Though, let's be honest, for most of the world, national pastime probably means revanchist.
Dale, you're impossible. But okay. Let's start with the big one for Germany football. Or as some of our listeners might know, it's soccer. Well, it's like practically a religion there, right?
Religion is right. Every town, village, probably every family has a football club. It's less a sport and more a deeply ingrained social ritual. Imagine Thanksgiving, but with more shouting and fewer calories.
Fewer calories. Leo, have you seen the size of a German pretzel? But seriously, the Bundesliga, yes, the National League, is HUGE. Stadiums are packed. The atmosphere is wild. It's an experience.
Oh, the atmosphere is definitely present. Let's just say Germans take their football very seriously. Sometimes too seriously. I once saw a guy almost cry because his team missed a penalty. Dude, it's a ball, calm down.
But that's passion, Leo. That's what makes it exciting. Ooh. In the US, we have a few religions in the sports world. American football is massive, of course. Super Bowl Sunday is practically a national holiday.
Super Bowl Sunday. Ah yes, the day Americans gathered to watch commercials interspersed with brief moments of sport and eat enough wings to feed a small army. But yeah, American football is definitely a thing.
A thing? Leo, it's more than a thing. It's strategy, it's athleticism, it's helmets. Whoa, those tackles are something else, right? It's like gladiators, but with more padding and fewer lines.
Gladiators, maybe if gladiators wore so much padding they could bounce off walls and had timeouts every 5 seconds. But okay, I'll grant you, it's visually impactful. And the tailgating parties look kind of fun, I guess, if you like crowds and questionable dips.
Tailgating is an art form, Leo. But let's be fair. The US isn't just football. We have basketball, baseball, okay? Baseball might be a bit niche for some international viewers.
Niche is polite. Baseball is, how do I put this delicately? It's a sport where exciting things happen maybe twice an hour, and the rest of the time everyone is just standing around. It's like performance art, if the art was waiting.
Leo, it's about the strategy, the history, the okay. Maybe it's a bit slow for some, but basketball is fast-paced, high-scoring, exciting. NBA is global.
Basketball, he'll give you. LeBron, Jordan, they're legends. Oh, sometimes I think half the excitement in NBA games is just guessing what crazy outfits someone will wear to the post-game press conference.
Fashion is important, Leo. It's part of the culture. Well, beyond team sports, both countries are great for outdoor adventures. Germany has the Alps, beautiful forests perfect for hiking and cycling.
Germany is definitely scenic. Black Forest, Bavarian Alps, very picturesque. Good for hiking, cycling and wearing lederhosen and singing loudly, if that's your thing.
Don't be such a grump. But yeah, hiking in Germany is amazing. And the cycling paths are fantastic, super well maintained.
Well maintained is the German way, isn't it? Everything efficient, organized, and probably comes with a rule book. Thou shalt cycle only on designated paths, and thou shalt not exceed 20 kilometers per hour unless downhill, and thou shalt thus.
Hey, maybe a few rules. That's safety first, right? And the US, we have, well, everything? Mountains, deserts, forests, beaches, national parks, school, or wow.
America's national parks. Vast, majestic, and often requiring a small loan to just enter. But yeah, the US landscape diversity is insane. You can go from snow-capped mountains to scorching deserts in a day's drive. Whoa!
Hiking, camping, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, you name it. The US has got it. And on a grand scale, everything is bigger in America. Right? Even the mountains.
Bigger, yes. And often further apart. But, gonna eat just a 6-hour drive to the trailhead. But, just for sheer variety of outdoor adventure, the US is hard to beat.
And don't forget water sports. Germany has lakes, rivers, coasts good for sailing, kayaking, swimming. Maybe a bit chilly in the Baltic Sea though. Ouch.
Baltic Sea swimming, that's for the truly hardcore, or slightly insane. But yeah, Germany has water sports. Though, I suspect most Germans prefer to enjoy their water views from a beer garden with a maw in hand.
Beer gardens are definitely a sport in themselves. But the US, we have oceans, massive lakes, rivers surfing on the coasts, lake swimming in summer, boating.
Surfing in California, yes. Though battling for a wave with 100 other surfers sounds less like relaxing and more like aquatic rush hour. But yeah, the US coastlines are epic for water sports.
So about the thrill, Leo. The adrenaline. Whoa. And Germany is big on motorsports, right? Formula One, Nürburgring Speed and Engineering.
German engineering. Legendary. Nürburgring, the green hell. Perfect for testing cars and possibly your sanity. Formula One, definitely a big deal. Though, sometimes I think the most exciting part of phone is the pit stops. Those guys are FAST.
It's all about precision and skill. Wow. But the US has an ASCR. Oval tracks, roaring engines, thrilling finishes. Very different style, but super exciting in its own way.
NASCR. Loud, fast, and left turns. Lots and lots of left turns. It's like the sport was invented by someone who really liked going in circles.
It's the atmosphere, the competition, the okay. Maybe it's a lot of left turns. But it's exciting. Ooh, so, sports and activities-wise, both countries have tons to offer, just different flavors.
Different flavors, yes. Germany, football, hiking in pictures, landscapes, efficient cycling, motorsports precision. USA football, basketball, baseball maybe. Vast outdoor adventures. Left turns.
Left turns with enthusiasm. And remember, if you're planning your sporty adventure, check out Jet Off AI for travel tips and maybe even some inspiration.
Indeed, Jet Off AI might even help you find a sports bar showing your favorite game wherever you are. Or at least, directions to the nearest coffee shop after all that sporting enthusiasm. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoyed our sporty showdown.
Yes. Like and subscribe if you think pretzels are the ultimate sports snack, or if you prefer hot dogs at a baseball game. Let us know in the comments. Our current topic, we compare nightlife and entertainment venues into countries. From electric clubs to captivating theaters and festive events, we reveal them.
Yeah, nightlife. Finally, a topic that doesn't involve paperwork or healthcare costs. Though, thinking about some nightlife experiences, maybe we should discuss healthcare costs. Ouch!
Leo, always thinking about the potential for disaster. But hey, that's why we have podcasts, right? To prepare people for everything. So, Germany versus the US for nightlife. Where do we even begin?
Let's start with the obvious, Mira. Germany, land of beer gardens and techno. United States, land of, well, everything else? Wow? It's like comparing a precision-engineered beer stein to a supersized cocktail shaker.
A supersized cocktail shaker. I love that, Leo. It's so true though, Germany. I picture cozy beer gardens with pretzels the size of your head. So gemütlich.
Gemütlich? Right. Which is German for you'll be asleep by 10 p.m. probably. Don't get me wrong, beer gardens are great. Especially if you like shouting over polka music to order another giant beer.
But that's part of the charm, Leo. It's all about the experience. The communal tables, the fresh air, the feeling of being part of something. It's like a giant, friendly picnic with beer.
A picnic where everyone's wearing lederhosen and trying not to spill their beer while singing off key. Sounds intense. Whoa. But yeah, for a relaxed, traditional vibe, German beer gardens are hard to beat.
And then you have the clubs, especially in Berlin. I've heard they are legendary. Electric, underground, Go all night kind of places. Wow.
Legendary is one word for it. Marathon is another. Berlin clubs, they don't just open, they activate. Aha! And they don't close until, well, Tuesday. Who knows?
Okay, that's a bit extreme. But that sounds amazing for people who really want to dance and amuse themselves in the music. Oh,
Lose themselves is right. You might lose your keys, your phone, and possibly your sense of time and space at a Berlin club. Oops, it's like entering another dimension, fueled by techno and other things.
other things? Mysterious. But what about the US then? It's such a big country. The nightlife must be completely different depending on where you are. Right?
Completely. In the US, nightlife is like a choose-your-own-adventure book. Want glitz and glamour? Vegas, live music and blues? New Orleans, trendy rooftop bars? New York or LA? Whoa, it's a con, no or LA.
Oh, my gosh. The casinos, the shows, the sheer spectacle of it all. Wow. It's like stepping into a movie. But a very, very brightly lit movie.
Brightly lit and very, very loud. Very lit and very, very loud. Vegas is designed to overwhelm your senses. It's entertainment on steroids. Think of it as nightlife as a competitive sport.
It, Leo. And New Orleans Forges. That's got such a soulful, bluesy vibe. Imagine strolling down Bourbon Street with music spilling out everywhere.
Bourbon Street, it's an experience. Let's just say it's not always about the music. But yeah, New Orleans has a unique raw energy. It's like the city itself is breathing out music.
And then New York. Broadway shows, comedy clubs, jazz clubs. Speak as I yes, it's like every single type of entertainment is crammed into one city.
Crammed is the right word. New York nightlife is like trying to fit the entire world into a tiny, overpriced apartment. But yeah, the variety is insane. You can see a world-class play, then stumble into a dive bar with live punk music, all within a few blocks.
Don't forget the classic American dive bar. They're like time capsules, right? Full of character and stories and probably sticky floors.
Sticky floors are a feature, not a bug in a dive bar. It's part of the ambience. Dive bars are where you go for cheap drinks, questionable karaoke, and maybe a conversation with a guy who claims he invented the internet.
Okay, maybe skip the internet and then to guy. But seriously, the US and Germany offer such different vibes. Germany is more traditional and maybe grounded, while the US is all about variety and extravagance.
Grounded versus extravagant. I like that. Germany is like a cozy, reliable sedan. The US is like a fleet of tricked-out monster trucks, each playing a different genre of music.
Monster trucks playing different genres of music. You're on fire today, Leo? So, for someone planning a trip based on nightlife, what would you recommend? Germany for?
Germany for beer, techno, and maybe some letter house and dancing if you're feeling brave. And early nights, probably.
And the US for?
The US for literally anything you can imagine. From quiet jazz clubs to raging pool parties to competitive nightlife. Just bring your credit card and your stamina.
That's key for both, I think. Whether it's lasting through a techno marathon in Berlin or navigating the sheer volume of options in the US. Ooh, it sounds like we need a whole separate podcast just to cover each city as nightlife scene.
Don't tempt me, Mira. Leo and Mira's Nightlife World Tour. We'd need a lot of coffee and maybe some earplugs.
Fee and dear plugs. The essentials. Well, listeners, hopefully that gives you a little taste of the nightlife and entertainment differences between Germany and the US. Wherever you go, remember to have fun and maybe pace yourselves.
Pace yourselves and maybe pack some aspirin. And if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments which nightlife scene sounds more your style. Germany's Gemu Techlicity or the US's Crazy Variety?
Yes, comment, like, subscribe. Tell us your wildest nightlife stories. We want to hear them all. Oh, and For more comparisons and travel tips, don't forget to check out Gen Off AI.
Jet Off AI, your guide to avoiding questionable karaoke and finding the best beer gardens. Or maybe just for planning your next trip. Whatever floats your boat. Until next time, folks.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe, stay entertained, and maybe learn a polka dance. Our current topic, we compare family-friendly environments and children's activities into countries. From welcoming parks.
Two screaming kids, you mean? Just kidding, Mira? But yeah, family friendliness, right? Let's dive into Germany and the United States. First up, parks.
Germany, land of fairy tale forests and beer gardens. Seriously, their parks are amazing. You can find these incredible green spaces even smack dab in the middle of big cities. Think about the Englischer Garten in Munich. It's bigger than Central Park. Can you believe it? Wow.
Bigger than Central Park. Oh, okay, Germany's coming in strong. America's got some pretty impressive parks too, though. Yellowstone, Yosemite. They're like nature on steroids. You got Central Park, Golden Gate Park, but, both these Joe ideas as as the Germans say.
I love that word. It's like cozy and fun and family-friendly all rolled into one. Ooh, and that's what German parks feel like. They're not just green spaces, they're like community hubs. Playgrounds that are actually exciting, not just a rusty swing set in a sad slide. And they're always packed with families, having picnics, playing games. It's so heartwarming.
Okay, point Germany on G as LIG parts. But America, we do playgrounds BIG. We're awking mega slides, climbing structures that look like they were designed by NASA, and splash pads that are basically mini water parks. We're all about go big or go home when it comes to kids' entertainment, right?
True. America does epic like no other. Wow, I saw this playground in Florida once. It was like a castle made of slides. What? But sometimes I think, is bigger always better? German playgrounds, they're often made of wooden natural materials. More about creative play than just flashing lights and plastic.
The eco-friendly, wholesome vibe. I get it. But kids love flashing lights and plastic. Mira, let's be real. Plus, Mira, let's be real. Plus, America, land of consumer choice. We've got no-play places galore. Rainy day? No problem. Giant trampoline parks, indoor climbing gyms. Places where kids can bounce off the walls at home.
Indoor trampoline parks. Okay. That sounds pretty fun, even for grown-ups. But what about just everyday kid-friendliness? Like walking around a city? Germany feels so safe and easy with kids. Public transport is efficient, sidewalks are wide, and people are generally super patient with little ones.
Patience, American patience level's variable, but we're working on it. And yeah, public transport in Germany, efficient is an understatement. It's like magically on time. In the US, it depends on the city. New York, subway with a stroller, challenge accepted. But then you've got places where you basically need a car to breathe, let alone get around with kids.
And in Germany, you see kids biking everywhere from a super young age. They have these little bike paths everywhere. It's so cool.
Bike paths for kids, that's smart. In the US, we're more like, here's a minivan, kiddo. But hey, minivans are family friendly, right? Sliding doors, built-in DVD players, road trip ready. We excel at the family road trip. Germany's more about trains. America is about the open road.
Trips are amazing. singing along to cheesy songs, playing nice by, but those long drives can be tough on little ones. Right? Germany with its trains. It's like a scenic tour where you can actually get up and walk around. Plus, train stations in Germany are often like mini cities themselves, with shops and restaurants and sometimes even playgrounds. Wow.
Train station playgrounds. Germany, you're spoiling us. Okay, trains, Germany wins. Road trips, America takes the crown. Like how when it comes to culture. Like how in a daily life.
In Germany, kids are just there. They're welcome everywhere. Restaurants, cafes, even museums. Nobody bats an eye if a kid is being a kid. It's very relaxed.
Relaxed American restaurants, some are definitely more kid-friendly than others. You get the places with the crayons and the kids' menus, and then you get the fancy places where you feel like your kid is going to shatter all the delicate glassware just by breathing too loudly. But we do have, like, family-friendly chains everywhere. And those breadsticks for everyone.
Endless breadsticks. Though, that's definitely a kid pleaser. But I mean more like socially. In Germany, it feels like kids are just part of the community. They're not separated off into their own little world. They're at festivals. They're at markets. They're just around.
America, we love our kids, but sometimes we kind of segregate them. Kids menus, kids sections at the library, kids movies, it's like we have a whole separate entertainment industry just for the under 12 set.
Which can be great, don't get me wrong. Kids need their own spaces and activities too. But sometimes I wonder if it creates a bit of a divide. Like kids become this special category instead of just people.
Interesting point, Mira. Germany, more integrated. America, more specialized. But specialization means we have theme parks. Disney World, Disneyland, Universal Studios Germany's got Europa Park, which is cool, but it's not Mickey Mouse, right?
Mickey Mouse is iconic. I give you that. Oh, and the American theme parks, they are a whole different level of wow. But they're also intense. So much noise, so many crowds, so much spending. Ouch.
Intense is the American way, Mira. But yeah, theme parks can be pricey. Germany, Europa Park is great value, and they have all these amazing family-run amusement parks too, which are often more charming.
Charming is a good word for it. German family entertainment can be a bit more wholesome, more focused on nature and experiences than just consumerism.
Okay, wholesome charm versus epic consumerism, that's a good summary. But hey, for a family vacation, both countries have tons to offer, right? Germany, fairy tale castles, Black Forest, Rhine River cruises, America, Grand Canyon, beaches in California, city adventures in New York. It just depends what kind of family you are.
If you're a family who loves hiking and exploring nature, Germany is incredible. The hiking trails are so well maintained, even little legs can manage them. And the scenery is just breathtaking.
And if you're a family who loves driving in a minivan for 12 hours to see the world's largest ball of twine, America's got you covered. Seriously though, America's got amazing national parks. And the variety, mountains, deserts, forests, beaches, you can find any landscape you want. Wow, well.
Variety is definitely America's superpower. Wow! And when it comes to kid-friendly museums, both countries are fantastic. Germany has amazing science museums, even toy museums. Oh!
America? Museums? We invented the Dinosaur Museum. Mira. Natural history museums, air and space museums, art museums with kids' wings. We've got museums for everything. You could spend a lifetime just visiting museums in the US.
Sounds a bit much, even for me. But yeah, both countries are museum heaven for families. And what about support for families? Like government policies and stuff. Boring, but important.
Boring but important? You're right. Germany, they've got that whole social safety net thing going on. Parental leave, childcare subsidies, it's all designed to make it easier to have kids. America, we're a bit more figure it out yourself.
Figure it out yourself. Ouch. That's a bit harsh, Leah. But yeah, Germany definitely has more generous family benefits. Parental leave is way longer. Childcare is more affordable. It makes a big difference.
It does. America, parental leave? Take your vacation days, good luck. Child Keists. Second mortgage, anyone? Ouch, but hey, we're the land of opportunity. If you're ambitious and hardworking and maybe a little bit lucky, you can make it work.
Land of opportunity, it's a nice idea, but always a reality for everyone, right? Germany. It feels like they believe in supporting families as a society, not just leaving it up to individuals.
Social responsibility versus individual freedom, classic Germany versus America debate, right? But for family friendliness, it's not just about policies, it's about the vibe, the atmosphere. And both countries have something special to offer.
Germany. It's that GSLIG feeling, the sense of community, the safe and easy environment for kids. Alright, Leo. Let's chat about something super important and colorful today, LGBT friendliness. We're gonna compare Germany and the United States, and see which one throws a more fabulous pride parade in the journey of inclusivity, legal protections, and social acceptance. Ooh.
Pride parades, huh? Well, Mira, you know I love a good parade. Especially if it involves questionable fashion choices and overly enthusiastic dance moves. But seriously, comparing LGBT atmospheres is like comparing schnitzel to, both are meaty topics. In their own way.
Schnitzel and hot dogs. Leo, you always find a food analogy. But you're right. Both Germany and the US have definitely been on a journey, hadn't they? Germany has stepped up its game. They legalized same-sex marriage way back, and they got some pretty solid anti-discrimination laws. It feels like they're really trying to create a welcoming space. Wow.
Trying being the operative word, Mira. They say they're welcoming, but try ordering a beer in Letterhausen at a gay bar and see the side eye you get. Germany's got the legal stuff down, sure, but you know, laws are like suggestions to some people. Social acceptance is the real bratwurst to crack.
Leah, you're such a tease. But okay, point taken. Laws are just the starting point. But in Germany, you see pride parades in almost every city, big or small. It's not just Berlin or Cologne, it's like BAM. Rainbow flags everywhere, celebrating love and diversity. It feels like a real cultural shift. Oh.
Rainbow flags are great, Mira, but they're also good for Instagram. Let's not mistake performative allyship for actual acceptance. In the US, we've got cities like San Francisco and New York that are basically LGBT meccas. But drive 2 hours outside of those bubbles and you might as well be in a black and white movie from the 1950 seconds.
Okay, the US is a big place, I get it. It's like comparing a giant pizza to a pretzel, both are doughy. but totally different experiences depending on where you bite. But even with the regional differences, the US has made some huge leaps too, right?
Massive and massively debated, Mira. Let's not forget the years of legal battles and the, shall we say, spirited opposition. Marriage equality is there, yes, but it's still a political football. And in some states, you can still get fired for being gay. Try explaining that in a pride parade float.
That's a good point, Leo. It's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows. But I think in terms of visibility and culture, the US has really pushed the envelope. Think about pop culture, TV shows, music. LGBT representation is way more mainstream in the US, wouldn't you say? Uh-huh.
Mainstream representation, yes. But is it meaningful representation, Mira? Or is it just another demographic to sell rainbow-colored merchandise to? Don't get me wrong, seeing LGBT characters on EV is progress, but sometimes it feels a bit tokenistic. Like, look, we're inclusive.
Leo, you're such a cynic. But maybe a little bit true. Still, even if it's partly for marketing, it does help normalize things, right? Kids growing up now see LGBT people on TV, in movies. It's not some big mysterious thing anymore. That's gotta be a good thing, yeah. Cool.
Normalization is good, Mira, I'll give you that. But normalization can also lead to complacency. Oh, everything's fine now. We have gay characters on TV, we can all relax. But the fight for true equality, for true acceptance, that's still ongoing in both Germany and the US.
It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. And I guess both Germany and the US are jogging along at different paces, on different parts of the track. Germany may be more steady and legally sound, and the US more flashy and culturally loud, but still with hurdles to jump.
Flashy and culturally loud, I like that, Mira. The US is definitely the Lady Gaga's LGBT atmospheres. All sequins and anthems, sometimes a bit chaotic. Germany is more like Angela Merkel. Efficient, pragmatic, gets the job done. Maybe not as much glitter.
Angela Merkel. Oh, Leo, you're killing me. Germany is maybe more organized in its approach. Like, okay, we have a plan for equality, let's follow the rules. While the US is more let's make a statement, make some noise, and maybe change some laws along the way. Wow.
Germany is the sensible shoes of LGBT friendliness, practical and reliable. The US is the stilettos fabulous, attention-grabbing, but maybe not the most comfortable for a long walk. And you might trip and fall sometimes.
Stilettos and sensible shoes. This is the most fashion-forward podcast comparison ever. But it's a great way to think about it, Leo. Both are trying to get to the same destination, a really inclusive society. Just taking different routes. And maybe wearing different footwear for the journey.
Precisely, Mira. And both routes have their potholes and smooth patches. Neither Germany nor the US can claim to be perfect LGBT paradises, but they're both works in progress, shall we say. And hopefully they'll both keep moving forward, even if Germany does it in sensible shoes and the US does it in stilettos.
And maybe, just maybe, one day the stilettos can meet up for a celebratory anthem for the Global Pride Festival. Wouldn't that be something to see on YouTube? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see that happen, folks. And for more country comparisons, hop on over to Jet Off AI.
A global pride dance-off now that's a mental image. I might need more coffee to process that. But yeah, check out Jet Off AI for more of our sensible and stiletto-wearing insights. And remember, whether you prefer schnitzel or hot dogs, acceptance and equality,
Our current topic, we compare hospitality and attitudes towards foreigners into countries, uncovering welcoming cultures and real expat experiences. It's like asking where will they roll out, but welcome that more enthusiastically.
Right, Mira, it's not just about politeness, but where you're more likely to get invited to a spontaneous barbecue or, not get side-eyed for asking for directions in English. Yeah, let's dive into Germany first, shall we?
Yeah, Deutschland. Land of efficiency and dwell. Are they efficient at being hospitable? My first impression of Germans was always organized. Like, if you ask for help, they'll give you precise instructions, maybe even draw you a map. Well, very helpful, very direct.
Totally. Germans are like the engineers of hospitality. They've got a system, and it's meticulously planned. You'll get clear answers, efficient service, and everything will be in its place. But sometimes you might feel like you're part of the system, not necessarily a warm, fuzzy personal connection right away.
Exactly. It's very structured. Think of it as German engineering, but for human interaction. You'll get a perfectly functional bridge of communication built for you, but maybe not with a lot of smiley face emojis painted on it.
Love that analogy, Mira. No emoji bridges in Germany, noted. No emoji bridges in Germany, noted. In the US, it's a whole different ballgame. American hospitality is like a fireworks display. Boom! Enthusiasm, big smiles. How can I help you? Have a great day. It's turned up to 11 from the get-go.
Oh, yes. Americans are masters of that initial burst of sunshine welcome. It's like everyone's your best friend you just haven't met yet. Walking into a store, you're greeted like you're the guest of honor. Wow. Sometimes I wonder if they're secretly practicing their Oscar acceptance speeches while ringing you up.
And I'd like to thank this customer for choosing our establishment. Totally see that. But that American enthusiasm, while super welcoming, can sometimes feel a tad performative. Like, are they actually that thrilled to see me, or is it just part of the script?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is it genuine warmth or customer service smile number 3? Which you see is what you get. If they're being helpful, they mean it. Even if it's not with jazz hands. It's like German hospitality is a sturdy oak tree, reliable and strong, while American hospitality is a dazzling sunflower, bright and cheerful.
Beautifully put, Mira, Hope versus Sunflower, in picturing that. So when it comes to attitudes towards foreigners, Germany has become much more multicultural, especially in the big cities. Aha! You'll find international communities, Turkish markets, it's definitely evolving.
Yes, Germany's cities are melting pots now. Use so many languages, see so many different faces. But sometimes there's still a feeling that you're a guest in a very organized house, rather than fully part of the family right away.
Right? That integration piece can be a bit slower in Germany. There's respect, often politeness, but breaking into deeper social circles can take time and maybe a shared love of I don't know David Hasselhoff.
The ultimate German-American bridge. Maybe that's the secret. In the US, because it's a nation built by immigrants, there's this inherent understanding of being from somewhere else. Well, every owner's got a story, and that's kind of celebrated.
Exactly. America is like, come one, come all, bring your weird traditions, your crazy foods, your questionable fashion choices. Whoa, it's all part of the American tapestry. You can be from anywhere, speak with any accent, and still be American pretty quick.
It's true. In the US, foreigner isn't really a thing in the same way. Everyone is a mix. It's more about newcomer and new neighbor. No, you can walk into a diner in Nebraska with a thick accent and someone will probably start chatting you up about where you're from within 5 minutes.
Yep, where y'all from? What brings y'all here? You gotta try the apple pie. American curiosity and friendliness are like a golden retriever puppy jumping all over you. Sometimes it's a bit much, but no, mostly it's just welcoming.
It can be overwhelming sometimes, that American instant friendship vibe. Like, whoa, slow down. I just asked for directions, not your life story. But it's definitely heartwarming in its own way.
Heartwarming chaos, maybe? But in both countries, Germany and the US, if you make an effort to learn a bit of the language, even just dank or bit in Germany, or howdy in Texas, it goes a long way.
Oh, absolutely. Showing you're trying is the universal welcome sign. Oh, in Germany, if you attempt a few German phrases, even if you butcher them, they appreciate the effort. It shows respect for their culture.
And the U.S., even just a smile and ass. American hospitality thrives on positive interactions. They want to know you appreciate their enthusiasm.
For expats, Germany offers that structured, reliable support. Maybe a bit less touchy-feely initially, but dependable. The US throws you into a whirlwind of instant friendliness and opportunity. Maybe a bit less structured, but full of open arms.
Yeah, Germany is the efficient, well-organized friend who always has your back, quietly and reliably. The U.S. is the super enthusiastic, life-of-the-party friend who will introduce you to everyone and make you feel instantly included, even if you're still trying to figure out what's going on.
So if you want reliable support and structured welcome, Germany might be your schnitzel. If you crave instant connection and a high-energy welcome, the US might be your apple pie.
Apple pie it is. And whichever country you choose, remember to be friendly back. Hospitality is a two-way street, folks. Now, what's next on our list, Mira?
All right, Leo. Let's jump into the digital world now. We're talking about internet infrastructure and digital facilities, comparing Germany and the United States. Think of it as a tech showdown, but with less robots and more Wi-Fi.
Tech showdown, huh? More like a bandwidth battle. And just hoping this conversation doesn't buffer like my video stream sometimes. You know, the kind where you see more spinning wool than actual content.
Oh, you and your internet woes? But seriously, it's pretty crucial, right? 4 streaming cat videos for work, for everything. So when we look at Germany, what pops into your head about their digital setup?
Efficiency, German engineering, even for the internet. I imagine their servers are probably meticulously organized, each cable labeled in perfect Helvetica font. Maybe even color-coded. It's probably all very Ordnungsschema.
Ordnungsschema internet. I love it. Imagine if your downloads arrived in little organized folders. Documents, movies, cat videos. All perfectly categorized. But is it fast? Boom. That's the real question. Isn't it, Speed? Speed. Speed. Speed.
Well, Germany's got a solid backbone, for sure. They've invested a lot in fiber optic networks, especially in cities. But sometimes I hear whispers that maybe they're not quite as uber fast as some other places. Like, maybe not breaking any speed records, you know?
But not necessarily setting the pace in the digital race. Like a dependable German sedan, not a flashy sports car. What about the US then? Land of innovation, right? Surely they're zooming ahead in the internet speed department. Wow.
America's like the digital Wild West, Mira. They've got pockets of insane speed, especially in tech hubs like Silicon Valley. Think gigabit speeds that make your head spin. But then, you drive out to some rural areas, and it's like stepping back into dial-up days.
Dial-up days. Remember that sound. We wish you it was like the internet was having a conversation with a modem. So US is a bit of a patchwork quilt of internet speeds. Some areas blazing fast, others not so much.
Exactly. It's a digital divide big time. You've got these tech giants pushing boundaries, and then you have areas where people are still struggling to get basic broadband. It's a bit unevenly distributed, shall we say.
Unevenly distributed digital deliciousness. That's a good way to put it. So, in Germany, maybe more consistent, but perhaps not as cutting-edge fast everywhere. And in the US, pockets of super speed, but with some digital deserts in between.
Pretty much. Germany is more like a well-maintained highway system, consistently good, but maybe with a speed limit. The US is more like a drag racing strip next to a bumpy dirt road. Both get you places, but the experience is different.
Different experiences for different folks. Makes sense. What about innovation then? Are either of them leading the charge in new internet technologies? Like, inventing the next big thing in digital? Oh.
The US definitely has that Silicon Valley vibe, that culture of disrupt or be disrupted. They're constantly pushing the envelope, throwing ideas at the wall to see what sticks. Think of all the tech giants that came out of the US. It's like a digital innovation factory.
Innovation factory, with little digital Oompa Loompas inventing the future. So US is the place for groundbreaking? Out there internet stuff? What about Germany? Are they more methodical innovators?
Germany's innovation is maybe less about flashy startups and more about industrial strength, long-term tech. Think of their automotive industry, for example. They're applying that same engineering precision to digital infrastructure. It's innovation, but maybe in a more Grundlich way.
Grundlich innovation, I like that. So, US flashy, fast-paced innovation, Germany solid, reliable. Grundlich innovation. It's like comparing Hollywood blockbusters to really well-made German documentaries.
Perfect analogy, Mira. Hollywood versus Deutsche Welle documentaries. Both have their merits, just different styles. And in the digital world, both approaches are important. You need the flashy breakthroughs and the solid foundations. Ah!
Otherwise, your digital house might just crumble. So, for someone thinking about digital businesses or just being super connected, which country might be a better bet, do you think?
Depends what you're after. If you want to be in the heart of the digital frenzy surrounded by venture capital and crazy ideas, the US tech hubs are hard to beat. But if you value stability, a well-organized digital landscape, and maybe a slightly less frantic pace, Germany might be more your speed.
Speed versus stability, digital frenzy versus Grundlich planning, it's a tough choice. Maybe it depends on your personality, right? Are you a digital daredevil or a digital planner?
Digital daredevil versus digital ordnance, Santia Slider. Yeah, personality definitely plays a part. Maybe your coffee preference too. Americano for the daredevil, maybe an ice. Strong German coffee for the Ordnung Santia Slider.
Coffee always comes back into it with you. Leo. But you're right. It's all about what you're looking for in your digital life. And hey, for more comparisons and maybe some actual internet speed tests, people can check out Jet Off AI.
Absolutely, Mira. Jet Off I use your digital travel guide, whether you're chasing gigabit speeds or just looking for reliable Wi-Fi to upload your vacation photos. And for more of our brilliant insights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on YouTube.
And maybe send us a postcard from your favorite digitally connected country. Oh, just a comment. We love comments. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll catch you in the next digital dimension. Boom. All right, Leah, let's talk shopping. Because who doesn't love a good retail therapy session, right? Oh, today we're diving deep into the shopping scenes of Germany versus the United States. Think Kleiderhausen versus Cowboy Boots. But for your wallet.
Shopping. The art of spending money to feel momentarily better about spending money. Germany versus the US, huh? It's like comparing a meticulously organized toolbox to a sprawling garage sale. Let's see if we can find any bargains amidst the chaos. Or the order, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on.
So, first off, Germany, land of efficiency and, well, more efficiency. When you think shopping there, what pops into your head? For me, it's like perfectly organized shelves and everything labeled in that super clear German font. Am I stereotyping too much?
Stereotyping, nah, just accurately observing. Germany is where orderliness goes to vacation. Shopping there is probably like a military operation, efficient, precise. And you know exactly what you're getting down to the millimeter? Imagine needing a specific type of bolt. They probably have it organized by thread count, material, and astrological sign.
Oh my gosh. Astrological sign bolts. I love it. And you're right. It's all about precision. But does that mean it's exciting? Like, can you stumble upon some crazy, unexpected treasure in a German store? Or is it all very predictable? Ooh.
Treasures in Germany. Maybe if you consider a perfectly engineered, slightly overpriced cuckoo clock a treasure. Don't get me wrong, they have great stuff, but spontaneous, wacky finds? Probably more likely to happen when a rogue pigeon flies into a department store.
Quality excitement. I can dig that. But then you hop over to the US. Then it's like sensory overload. Giant malls. Everything is HUG, and sales signs everywhere practically screaming at you. It's like shopping with a rock concert in the background.
Sensory overload is putting it mildly. American shopping is an extreme sport. It's like they took the concept of choice and cranked it up to 11. You need toothpaste? Congratulations, you now have 7,000 options. Want a t-shirt? Prepare to wade through a mountain of fabric bigger than Kilimanjaro. And the sales. They practically invented the concept of 70% off just to make you feel like you're winning at life.
Winning at life by buying more stuff. Classic? But seriously, that 70% off thing, is it actually a good deal? Or is it just a clever trick to make us buy things we don't need? Because sometimes I feel like I'm being hypnotized by those red sale signs. Oops.
Hypnotize is definitely the right word. American sales are less about actual savings and more about psychological warfare. They inflate the original price to astronomical levels, then slash it down to something still overpriced, but your brain sees SAVINGS. And screams BUI. BUI. BUI! UY. Yeah. BUI.
Evil retail genius. Okay, so Germany is all about quality and precision, maybe a little less about the thrill of the hunt. And the US is a thrill ride, maybe sacrificing a bit on the quality side for sheer volume and excitement. Is that fair?
Pretty fair. Germany is like buying a meticulously crafted, slightly expensive German car. You know it's reliable, well-made, and will last. The US is like buying a giant, gas-guzzling American pickup truck. It's big, loud, and might break down occasionally. But hey, it looks cool and you can haul a lot of stuff. And probably get a free baseball cap with purchase.
Free baseball cap. That's the American dream right there. But price performance-wise, where do you think you get more bang for your buck? Like, if you're actually trying to be smart with your money, where should you be shopping?
Smart with your money and shopping are generally mutually exclusive concepts, Mira. But if forced to choose, Germany maybe? You might pay a bit more upfront, but things are generally built to last. Less fast fashion, and more investment pieces are just... Even if those investment pieces are just really good socks.
I love it. Okay, so Germany for long-term value, maybe the US for short-term retail joy and the occasional impulse buy that you regret the next day. Oops! Because I know I've definitely bought some 70% off things in the US that are now gathering dust in my closet.
Dust gathering is the official sport of American retail. Those bargains are designed to appeal to your lizard brain, not your actual needs. You end up with 5 different shades of neon pink leggings, and you're EU-like. Why? But hey, at least you got a deal, right?
Neon pink leggings, oh my gosh. Are you reading my mind, Leo? But let's think about specific shopping experiences. Like grocery shopping. German supermarkets versus American ones. What's the vibe?
German supermarkets are efficient. Again, they're designed to get you in and out quickly. No frills, no distractions, just food. American supermarkets are an experience. They're like amusement parks for food. Well, you can spend hours wandering the aisles, sampling things, getting overwhelmed by choices, and probably leaving with way more than you intended to buy.
Amusement park for food. That's perfect. I mean, you can find EDRYTHING in an American supermarket, right? Like 50 kinds of cereal, walls of chips, entire aisles dedicated to soda. It's kinda Mindelbauing. Wow.
Mindelbauing lie excessive, yes. American supermarkets are a testament to abundance and maybe a little bit to overconsumption. German supermarkets are more practical. Smaller, more focused, less theatrical. You go in, get what you need, and leave. No need to navigate a maze of sugary temptations.
Sir, maybe German supermarkets are better for your waistline and your wallet then. what about unique shopping experiences? Like, are there any quirky, only in Germany or only in the US shopping things that people should check out? Boo!
Only in Germany? Christmas markets, definitely. GLU Hui in gingerbread. And overpriced wooden ornaments, the trifecta of German holiday shopping. And maybe some really good sausage. Don't forget the sausage.
Christmas markets. Magical. Oh, and only in the US. What's the equivalent uniquely American shopping experience? Black Friday stampedes? Just kidding mostly.
Black Friday is definitely an experience. A chaotic, slightly terrifying, yet undeniably American experience. Whoa, but for something less violent, maybe flea markets? American flea markets? American flea markets? American flea markets are treasure troves of random junk, vintage finds, and questionable antiques. You can find anything from a slightly haunted doll to a vinyl record of polka music. It's a gamble, but silver-plated spoons.
Haunted dolls and polka records. Now that's what I call shopping excitement. Okay, so Germany for reliable quality and organized efficiency. The US for sheer variety, overwhelming choice. And the thrill of the bargain or the flea market treasure hunt. Oh, I think we've painted a pretty good shopping picture here.
Indeed. So, listeners, if you value order, precision, and really good socks, head to Germany. If you prefer chaos, choice, and the possibility of finding a haunted doll, America's calling. Just maybe bring a helmet for Black Friday.
Helmet and maybe some elbow pads. Thanks for the shopping tour, Leo. Always a retail riot with you. And if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Maybe even leave a comment about your craziest shopping experience. We'd love to hear it.
And if you're planning a shopping trip to either Germany or the US, or anywhere else for that matter, check out Jet Off AI for some travel inspiration and maybe even some deals that aren't quite as psychologically manipulative as those 70% off signs. Until next time, happy shopping and try not to buy too many neon pink leggings.
All right, Leo. Let's dive into the world of cultural events, festivals, and concerts. I mean, who doesn't love a good festival, right? It's like the world decided to throw a massive party and everyone's invited. Oh.
Festivals, huh? Mira, you make it sound like every day is Oktoberfest. But yeah, let's see if Germany and the US can throw a decent party. Though, I suspect American festivals involve more deep-fried Oreos than German ones. Just a hunch.
Deep-fried Oreos at a festival. Wow, Leo, you're painting a delicious picture. But Germany has its own kind of deliciousness. Think beer gardens and sausage stands galore at their festivals. Imagine the polka music. I bet you could polka your way through a German festival and burn off all those sausages.
Polka? Mira, are you trying to scare away our YouTube audience? But okay, Germany's got Oktoberfests. That's their big hitter. Giant beer tents, letterhouse, and the whole shebang. It's like a historical reenactment, but with more beer and less actual history. Informative and tipsy, unique combo.
Tipsy history. I love it. Thinking of unique, think about all the Christmas markets in Germany. They are like winter wonderlands, filled with twinkling lights, gingerbread smells, and GLU Hai to keep you warm. It's practically mandatory to feel festive in a German Christmas market. Ooh, we should totally film an episode there for our YouTube channel. Jet Off AI could sponsor a GLU Hui in tasting segment.
GLU Hui in tasting segment sponsored by Jet Off AI. Christmas markets are indeed charming, I'll give you that. But then you look at the US, and it's all about scale. Hey Coachella, Lollapalooza, massive music festivals that draw crowds bigger than some small countries. It's not just a festival, it's an event.
Pyrotechnics you can see from space. Whoa, Leo, you're making America sound like a giant firework. But Germany also has some amazing music festivals like Rock am Ring and Wacken Open Air. Rock am Ring is huge, and Wacken, for heavy metal fans, is like Mecca. Imagine thousands of metalheads rocking out in a field. Maybe we should do a headbanging tutorial on our Jet Fae. What do you think?
A headbanging tutorial on Jet Fae, aye? A headbanging tutorial on Jet Fae, aye. Okay, Mira, you're really pushing the boundaries of travel content now. But Wacken is definitely a thing. Though, in the US, you've got everything from country music festivals in New Orleans that are pure soul. The variety is insane. You can find a festival for literally any niche interest, even competitive eating, I bet.
Competitive eating festivals? Is that a thing? Wow, in America, you can festivalize eat anything. But Germany has its film festivals too, like the Berlinale, a huge international film festival. It's all glitz and glamour, red carpets, and maybe less deep-fried Oreos. Thankfully. Imagine us walking the red carpet for Jet Fae. Leo.
Walking the red carpet for Jet Fae, I'd need a bigger coffee mug for that level of glamour, Mira. Berlinale's cool, sure. But the US has Hollywood, while Germany has film festival year-round. The US is the film festival year-round. Think premieres, awards season, the whole celebrity circus. It's less about just the films and more about the spectacle.
Spectacle is definitely America's middle name. But Germany has a different kind of cultural spectacle, like Carnival in Cologne. Whoa. Costumes, parades, street parties, it's weeks of craziness leading up to Lent. It's like the whole city transforms into a giant, hilarious walking party. Ooh. Imagine the street food at Cologne Carnival. Imagine the street food at Cologne Carnival.
Street food at Cologne Carnival probably involves more sausages, Mira. Carnival sounds fun, I'll give you that. But then you think about something like Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Beads, parades, there's music spilling out of every doorway. It's a different kind of crazy. And probably involves beads you shouldn't touch. Just saying.
Beads you shouldn't touch. Oh, here. You always add that little bit of reality to the party. But even with the questionable beads, Mardi Gras sounds amazing. But Germany also has a lot of folk festivals, like smaller town fairs and village fests. They are often super traditional with folk music, local class, and everyone in traditional dress. It's like stepping back in time.
Stepping back in time in Lederhausen, right. Those small-town German festivals sound quaint, Mira. But for sheer volume and variety, the US festival scene is hard to beat. From state fairs with butter sculptures and big races to music festivals that redefine the concept of loud, America's got a festival for every day of the year. And probably several for each day. Thanks to Jet Fae, we can explore them all virtually.
Butter sculptures and pig races. Only in America. But hey, Germany has beer festivals beyond Oktoberstew. They smaller beer fests in Bavaria or beer. God, then season all summer long. It's not just one big event, it's a lifestyle. We could do a whole series on different beer gardens on Jet Fae. Imagine the views.
A Jet Fae beer garden tour now that I can get behind, Mira. But even with beer gardens, the US has its own version of lifestyle festivals. Think county fairs, summer concert series in parks, outdoor movie nights, food truck rallies. It's less about grand events and more about just doing stuff outside when the weather is nice. Less Lederhausen, more lawn chairs.
Lawn chairs are underrated festival gear, I agree. But Germany has its Christmas markets. Leo, I have to bring it back to Christmas markets. They are not just events, they are a feeling. That cozy, festive, winter wonderland feeling. Ooh. It's like Germany invented holiday cheer and bottled it into a market.
Bottlebly sold it for a hefty price in GLU away in months. Christmas markets are lovely, fine, but again, the US goes for scale. Think Times Square on New Year's Eve. Millions of people crammed into one place. Freezing there, but tough to watch a ball drop. It's an experience. Whether it's a good experience is debatable.
Debatable experiences are still experiences, Leo. But you're right. The US does big on spectacle. But Germany has a rich tradition of classical music and opera. Think of Beethoven and Bach and Wagner. Why? Germany is like the birthplace of classical music. Imagine seeing an opera in a beautiful German opera house. We could even do a podcast episode from a German opera house. Thanks to General Fei.
A podcast from a German opera house in need dear plugs. Mira. Classical music, sure, Germany's got history. But the US invented jazz, blues, rock and roll, hip-hop, country, and about a million other genres. From smoky jazz clubs in New Orleans to sold-out stadium rock shows, the US music scene is just loud and diverse. And probably involves more German opera.
More Gausellas than German opera. Definitely. But that diversity is amazing in both places. Germany's Turkish festivals, Vietnamese festivals, all kinds of cultural events thanks to its multicultural cities. It's like a global festival right there in Germany. We should totally highlight some of these on Jeddah Fair. Show how diverse German culture really is.
Highlighting diverse German festivals on Jeddah Fair, good idea, Mira. Show them it's not just beer and sausages. And yeah, the US, being a melting pot, has festivals for every culture under the sun. From Chinese New Year parades in San Francisco to Cinco de Mayo celebrations everywhere, America's a constant cultural festival. Whether it's always authentic is another question.
As long as everyone is having fun and learning something new, who cares if it's perfectly authentic? And both Germany and the US are definitely masters at making sure people have fun at their cultural events, festivals, and concerts. So, I guess it's a win-win for both countries in the festival department.
A win-win, huh? Okay, Mira, you'll give you that. Mira, I'll give you that. Both Germany and the US know how to throw a party, just different kinds of parties. Germany's parties involve more beer and sausages. America's involve more everything else. And probably more deep-fried Oreos. Let's just agree to disagree on the deep-fried Oreos. And maybe check out Jeddah Fair for more festival info, folks.
Our current topic, we compare the opportunities and ease of learning the local language into countries. From language schools to immersion, it's all on the table. And today we're pitting Germany and the US against each other. Ooh, it's like linguistic boxing match, but with vocabulary instead of gloves.
Yeah, a vocabulary boxing match where German grammar is the heavyweight champ in English. Wow, English is just kinda hang out, being globally understood and slightly smug about it. But let's be real, Mira, ease is a subjective term. For some, learning German is like assembling IKEA furniture without instructions.
Olio, always with the IKEA analogies. But you're right, German can look like a grammatical puzzle at first glance. All those cases and genders. It's like they decided to make language learning an Olympic sport. Wow. But hey, Germany is amazing for language learners because, well, they actually have German language everywhere.
Groundbreaking observation, Mira. Country with German language has German language. Who knew? But okay, fine, yes, immersion is key, and Germany delivers on that. Walk outside, BA. Turn on the TV, BM. German. Turn on the TV, BM. German. Try to order a pretzel, if you can figure out the word for pretzel, BM. German.
Okay. German pretzels are worth the effort though. And think about the opportunities, Leo. Germany is a powerhouse in Europe. If you learn German, you unlock a whole continent for work, travel, culture. Travel, culture. Plus, German universities are fantastic and often tuition-free, even for international students. That's a huge incentive to tackle those tricky cases, right?
True, free tuition is like a giant linguistic carrot dangling in front of you. Learn German or pay a fortune elsewhere. It's effective, it'll give them that. And yeah, Germany has a ton of language schools, institutes everywhere they make it relatively easy to find structured learning. But let's not sugarcoat it, Mira. German pronunciation can sound like someone clearing their throat with consonants.
Huh. Oh, you're just jealous because you control your R's properly in German, Leo. Leo, but pronunciation aside, think about the US. American English is practically the global lingua franca. Learning English in the US is like breathing air. It's everywhere. Bah, movies, music. Internet, you're already halfway there just by existing in the 21st century.
Ah yes, the seductive allure of American English. Learn our language and watch endless superhero movies. The opportunities in the US are undeniable though. Massive economy, diverse industries, and English is the key to unlocking it all. Plus, let's be honest, Mira, English grammar is comparatively chill. It's like the yoga pants of languages. Comfortable and forgiving.
Yoga pants of languages? I love it. And it's true, English is definitely more user-friendly grammatically. But that can also be a downside, right? Because English is so widespread globally, there might be less pressure to learn German in Germany. You could theoretically get by in Berlin with just English, especially in tech or creative industries.
Aha! The expat paradox. You move to Germany, immerse yourself in German culture, but end up speaking English with other expats and in trendy cafes. It's like going to a pizza place in Italy and ordering a burger. Possible, but why? Whereas in the US, learning English is often a much more immediate necessity for immigrants.
In the US, especially outside of major cities with large immigrant communities, English is pretty much essential for daily life. For work, for everything. So the need to learn is arguably stronger, which can be a powerful motivator. Plus, the US has a huge variety of English accents and dialects. It's like learning multiple languages in one.
Whoa, dialect bingo. Collect all 50 state accents. Sounds like fun, sarcastically speaking. But you're right, the US offers a diverse landscape, even within English. And there are tons of ESL programs, community colleges, resources for learning English, especially given the large immigrant population. It's a well-oiled machine for English language learning, if you're aiming for American English, that is.
For both German and English, the internet's a getting line resources. For both German and English, the internet is bursting with apps, websites, YouTube channels you can learn a language while sitting in your pajamas. Jet-Off AI, for example, could totally help you prep for a language learning journey in either Germany or the US, right?
I think that we can conquer that. Smooth plug, Mira. Yes, indeed, Jet-Off AI, your trusty sidekick for all things travel and linguistic preparation, apparently. But back to language's ultimate learner, right? Someone with a background in Germanic languages might find English easier.
And motivation plays a huge role too. If you're genuinely passionate about German culture, history, maybe you dream of attending Oktoberfest every year. That passion will fuel your language learning journey, even when the grammar gets hairy. Same with the US. If you're obsessed with Hollywood, Broadway, the American dream, that can be a huge motivator to master English.
So, in conclusion for ease, maybe English edges out German slightly because of its simpler grammar and global ubiquity. But for opportunities, both countries offer significant advantages for language learners, just in different ways. Germany unlocks you upon a specific structured language. The US unlocks global English and a massive, diverse economy. Pick your linguistic poison, folks.
Linguistic poison. Oh, Leo. But yeah, it's really about what you want. Do you want to conquer German grammar and drink amazing beer? Germany? Do you want to speak the world's most widely used language and maybe become a Hollywood star? The US? US? Either way, learning a new language is always an adventure. Wow. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed our linguistic sparring match. Okay, Leah. So next up on our grand tour of countries, let's chat about something super important, especially for our female listeners out there, safety and comfort for women travelers. We're tackling Germany and the good old US of A. Whoa! Buckle up, ladies! And gents who care about ladies in their lives.
Safety and comfort for women, huh? Well, Mira, as a dude who sometimes spills coffee on himself and calls it fashion, my perspective might be slightly skewed. But seriously, it's crucial. Let's dive in and see if we can figure out where a lady might feel more like a boss babe strutting her stuff versus, well, maybe needing to keep her wits extra sharp.
And you know, in Germany, you often hear about things being so sicker, very safe. Like, I remember reading a stat about how low the rates of violent crime against women are compared to some other places. It's almost like they have a national motto of safety first, then sausages, then sausages.
Sausages and safety a winning combo. Okay. Germany sounds like a dream so far, but then we hop over to the US. And it's a bit more varied, shall we say. You've got super safe spots, and then you've got places where you might want to carry pepper spray and maybe a small, but very polite bodyguard.
Polite bodyguard. I love it. I love it. The US is huge and so diverse. Like strolling through a charming Bavarian town in Germany feels worlds away from, say, walking alone late at night in certain parts of a big American city. Ouch! It's almost comparing pretzels and, well, in trying to think of a really contrasting American snack. But nothing's quite popping into my head as dramatically different as pretzels and danger.
How about comparing pretzels to deep-fried Twinkies at a state fair at midnight? Okay, maybe a bit extreme, but the point is, the US is a vast landscape, and safety levels can really swing wildly depending on where you are. You might feel totally at ease in a quaint New England village, but then feel a bit more on edge navigating a bustling city center after dark. Whoa!
Deep-fried Twinkies at midnight. Perfect analogy. See, Leo, you always come up with the best food comparisons. But back to serious stuff in Germany. Public transport is usually super reliable and feels pretty safe, even late at night. But I've heard stories of women using the U-Bahn at all hours and feeling totally fine. It's almost like the trains are saying, hop on. Ladies, we got you.
Hop on, ladies, we got you. I can picture those German trains now, like little metal knights in shining armor. In the US, public transport as well. Let's just say its reputation varies city to city. In some places, it's great. In others, you might feel like you're starring in an action movie, depending on the time of day and the route. And not always the fun action movie, you know. More like the gritty, realistic kind.
Gritty, realistic action movie train rides. Not exactly the relaxing sightseeing tour we were hoping for. And you know, culturally, Germany often feels very respectful of personal space. Like, people generally keep to themselves, which can actually be a comfort thing for women. Especially if you're not in the mood for unwanted attention.
Right. Germans in personal space legendary. They practically invented the social distancing rule before it was cool. In the US, it's a bit more chatty. You might get friendly banter with strangers, which someone in love, and others might find a bit much, depending on the situation and the stranger, of course. It's a gamble, like opening a box of chocolates. You never know what flavor you're gonna get.
Chocolate box strangers. I'm on a roll with the food metaphors today. Ugh. But seriously, think about nightlife too. In Germany, going out in cities like Berlin or Munich, there's a general vibe of, well, maybe not totally hands-off, but definitely less overtly aggressive than what some women experience in other places. Like, you can usually enjoy it out without feeling like you're constantly having to fend off unwanted advances.
Berlin nightlife legendary for its freedom and, let's say, artistic expression. Which can be amazing, but also interesting for a woman navigating its Olo. The US nightlife scene is, again, super varied. In some cities, it's all about having a blast and feeling safe. In others, you might need to keep your guard up a bit more, and maybe have a getaway strategy planned, just in case your chocolate box stranger turns out to be dark chocolate while you were expecting milk.
Dark chocolate stranger. in picturing a whole box of chocolate-themed safety advice now. But you know, it's also about feeling comfortable in general daily life, not just nightlife. Like walking down the street in Germany during the day. There's a sense of calm, maybe. Like, you can just be yourself, and people will generally leave you to it.
Calm daily life in Germany, yes, I get that. It's like everyone is on the same page of the polite and efficient guidebook. In the US, daytime street vibes are louder, more energetic, definitely more varied. You might get friendly smiles and have a nice day greetings, which is lovely, but you also get a wider spectrum of everything, including, unfortunately, sometimes. Oh,
Louder daytime vibes. Perfect way to put it. So, if we're summing up for women travelers thinking about Germany versus the US, the safety and comfort Germany sounds like the reliably safe and respectful option. Like that sturdy, dependable umbrella you know will keep you dry in a downpour.
so I think that we can conquer that. And the US is more like a stylish, maybe slightly unpredictable, but potentially very fun raincoat. It can be awesome and exciting, but you gotta be a bit more prepared for weather changes. And maybe pack that metaphorical pepper spray just in case. Oops, but hey, both have their charms, right? It just depends on what kind of travel experience you're after, and maybe your personal comfort levels with chocolate box strangers and deep fried.
Chocolate box strangers and deep fried Twinkies. I think we've officially created a new travel safety rating system. But yeah, ultimately, credible experiences. And being informed and aware is key, no matter where you go. Right? Leo?
Absolutely, Mira. Knowledge is power, and a good sense of humor helps too, especially when you spill coffee on yourself. And for all our listeners out there, especially the ladies planning the next adventure, do your research, trust your gut, and maybe pack a metaphorical or literal umbrella, just in case. Wow. And definitely check out Jet Off AI for more travel tips, because we're just scratching the surface here.
Yes. Jet Alfei, I is your travel best IE. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying our chocolate-covered safety tips. We're here to make your travel planning a little brighter, a little funnier, and hopefully a lot safer. Oh, until next time, safe travels everyone. Alright Leo, let's jump into the legal ring. We're talking about legal systems, individual rights, and freedoms in Germany and the United States today. It's like comparing bratwurst and burgers. Both are great, but totally different vibes, right?
Bratwurst and burgers, Mira? More like comparing a precisely engineered German car to a, well, let's just say a very enthusiastic American pickup truck. Both get you places, but one's got a manual and the other like 6 cup holders. Let's see if their legal systems are equally different.
So, to kick things off, Germany's legal system, from what I understand, is super structured, very civil law focused. It's all about codes and statutes, almost like a giant instruction manual for society. Imagine trying to assemble IKEA furniture, but instead of furniture, it's the entire country.
An IKEA country? That's perfect, Mira. Everything in its place, labeled, and probably comes with an Allen wrench. The US, on the other hand, feels more like common law, right? Precedent, case law, all that jazz. It's like a legal just solo, improvising as it goes. Sometimes a bit off-key.
Off-key, just solo. I love it. And speaking of off-key, the US Constitution. Everyone knows about it, right? All those powerful phrases. Wow. It's like the rock star of Constitution, super famous. Everyone knows the hits, like the First Amendment free speech. Ooh.
The Rockstar Constitution, true. But sometimes rock stars have backstage drama, Mira. Germany's basic law, or Grundgesetz, might be less flashy, but it's incredibly robust and focused on human dignity. It's more like the dependable, critically acclaimed band that consistently puts out solid albums, Maybe not as many screaming fans, but deep respect.
Like a really good cup of German coffee, strong and reliable. Now, when we talk about individual rights, both countries are big on freedom of speech, right? But maybe they express it differently? Like, in the US, you can practically shout anything from a street corner, even if it's well-you-know-moops.
You can shout pretty much anything, Mira, even about questionable coffee blends. But in Germany, there are limits, especially when it comes to hate speech, denying the Holocaust, things like that. They take historical responsibility seriously, so freedom of speech comes with a don't be a terrible person asterisk.
I don't be a terrible person asterisk? That's a good asterisk to have, Leo. Oh, it's freedom. But with a side of responsibility German style. And what about privacy? I hear Germans are super serious about privacy. Like, data protection is my middle name Sirius. Wow.
Data protection is my middle name. German serious is spot on, Mira. They went through some stuff in history, so privacy is like deeply ingrained. In the US, it's more like, well, we say we value privacy, but then we click agree on every website without reading anything? Yeah, it's like privacy. Sure, just take all my data. Here's my social security number too.
Privacy. Take it all. That's brutally honest, Leo. Ouch. So in Germany, it's more like Fort Knox level data protection. And in the US, it's, well, maybe a screen door. And what about the right to protest? Both countries have a history of people taking to the streets, right? Whoa. Whoa.
Protest. Germany loves a good protest. Very organized, very organized, very. German? They'll have permits, signs in perfect order, maybe even a schedule. It's like protesting is a well-run event. In the US, protests can be a bit more spontaneous. Oh, sometimes organized, sometimes, let's just say, passionate. It's more like a protest flash mob. You never know what you're gonna get.
That's so American. Oh, so German protests are like a well-choreographed dance, and US protests are like break dancing in the street. And when it comes to the legal process itself, I've heard the German system is very focused on fairness and due process.
Fairness and due process, definitely German hallmarks. They really believe in getting it right. Taking their time, lots of checks and balances. It can be slower, but the idea is to avoid mistakes. The US system, well, it's also supposed to be fair, but it can be faster paced, more adversarial, and sometimes zoots. Let's just is known for its dramatic TV shows for a reason.
Dramatic TV shows. Exactly. Like, in German legal dramas, everyone is probably calmly discussing legal precedents over coffee. And in American legal dramas, they're shouting, surprise witnesses, and someone dramatically yelling objection. Wow.
Objection is practically the national legal anthem in the US, Mira. But seriously, both systems aim for justice. They just approach it differently. One's like a meticulous craftsman, the other's more like a passionate sculptor. Both can create masterpieces, but with very different tools.
And I guess for everyday life, knowing your rights in both countries is super important, especially for visitors or people moving there. Like, if you get pulled over by the police, what do you do? In Germany, do you offer them a schnitzel?
Don't offer the German police schnitzel, Mira, just don't. In both countries, knowing your basic rights is key. Right to remain silent, right to a lawyer, all that good stuff. But how it plays out in practice, well, that's where the cultural nuances come in. Maybe Jet Off AI has some guides for navigating legal systems abroad?
Jet Off AIs. That's a brilliant idea, Leo. We should totally check if Jet Off AI has resources for understanding legal rights in different countries. Wow, Imagine having a Know Your Rights section for every destination. That would be super helpful for travelers and expats. Ooh. And for our listeners who want to dive deeper, they should definitely explore resources online. And maybe even check out YouTube for explainers.
YouTube explainers, definitely. And maybe some stand-up comedy routines about dealing with legal systems for a lighter take. B. Because let's be honest, legalese can be drier than a weak cold pretzel. But understanding your rights is no joke, whether you're in Germany or the US.
No joke at all, Leah. So to wrap up this legal comparison, both Germany and the US value individual rights and freedoms, but they have very different ways of doing things. German system structured, US system structured, precise, privacy-focused. US system bold, expressive, free speech champion. It's like choosing between a perfectly organized hike in the Black Forest or a wild road trip across Route 66.
Route 66 versus the Black Forest hike. Perfect analogy, Mira. Both are amazing journeys, just bring different maps and maybe different shoes. And with that, I think we've navigated the legal landscape for today. Onwards to the next topic, perhaps something less legally binding.
Our current topic, we compare spa, healthy living, and relaxation opportunities into countries. From luxurious spas to holistic wellness trends, let's dive into Germany and the United States.
Spa days. Mira, are you already dreaming of cucumber slices on your eyes? Because I'm picturing more like rushing from one appointment to another, stressed about being relaxed.
Yeah. You always see the glass half empty. I'm thinking more like fluffy robes, soothing music, and maybe someone actually giving me a proper massage for once instead of Micah kneading my back. Ooh, in Germany, they're famous for their Kaiua system, right? Like serious wellness business.
Serious wellness business sounds like a phrase invented by someone trying to sell expensive bath salts. But yes, Germany does have a reputation for health and wellness. Think of all those thermal baths and meat treatments. It's like, come to Germany to be regimented about your relaxation.
Regimented relaxation. Leah. Kun Leah. Leah. Leah? Leo? Leo? Leah. Leo. Li Wen, legend soaking in naturally heated water, letting all your worries just melt away. Do they have those in the US?
We have hot tubs in Vegas. Does that count? Whoa, actually, the US takes a different approach. We're all about bigger is better, so think mega spas and wellness retreats that cost more than a small car.
Like, are we talking spas the size of shopping malls? I'm picturing indoor waterfalls and maybe a theme park element. It sounds a bit intense for relaxation, doesn't it?
Intense is the American way, Mira. If you're going to relax, you better relax hard. Think of it as competitive relaxation. We've got celebrity-endorsed juice cleanses, cryotherapy chambers, you name it. We've probably supersized it and put a hefty price tag on it.
Cryotherapy chambers? Whoa. Is that like stepping into a giant freezer for wellness? Ouch. It sounds more like torture than relaxation to me. I'd rather have a nice, warm sauna. Germany is all about saunas, isn't it?
Oh, Germany takes its saunas very seriously. It's practically a national sport. You've got your Finnish sauna, your bio sauna, your steam room, and don't forget the AUF, Gus ritual where someone dramatically throws water on hot stones with a towel. It's quite the performance.
AUF. Gus sounds like a sauna rave. I can just imagine the towel waving like it's a dance-off. Ooh, in the US, are saunas more laid back? Just a hot room and that's it?
Laid back. In American sauna, and likely, we're more about infrared saunas and salt caves and things that sound vaguely scientific and expensive. Hey. And don't forget the eucalyptus oil. I love eucalyptus oil. It's like our wellness mascot.
Eucalyptus oil. I bet you could bottle American wellness and it would just smell like eucalyptus and green juice. But what about healthy living in general? Germany is known for its hiking and outdoorsy stuff, right?
Jawohl. Germany is great for being active. Hiking in the Black Forest, cycling along the Rhine, maybe even some Bavarian Alps action if you're feeling ambitious. They've got the whole fresh air and exercise thing down. Practical, efficient German.
Practical and efficient wellness. Ah, that's so German. In the US, is healthy living more about Jews? Fancy workout classes? Wearing expensive leggings to brunch?
Bingo. The US healthy living scene is a multi-billion-dollar industry fueled by gyms with more equipment than a spaceship, boutique fitness classes that cost more than rent, and half a year where that's definitely not for actual athletics. It's aspirational fitness, Mira. Looking like go to the gym is half the battle.
I love it. Thracial fitness. I love it. So in Germany, you might see people in hiking boots and practical gear. And in the US, you do see everyone in one of those brands? Lulu something?
Lululemon, Athlete, all yoga brands that cost more than my entire travel budget for a month. But hey, at least you look good while you're hydrating. Because hydration is also a big wellness trend here. Don't forget your reusable water bottle. Preferably one that tracks your water intake via Bluetooth.
Bluetooth water bottles. Wow. Are they going to start sending me motivational messages? Keep drinking, Mira. You're doing great. Meanwhile, in Germany, are they hydrating with beer? Just kidding. Probably lots of mineral water, right?
Mineral water, herbal teas, and yes, probably beer after a long hike. Germany is about balance, Mira. Work hard, relax hard, drink good beer in moderation.
Sensible relaxation. Maybe I need some sensible relaxation in my life. Although, the idea of a mega spa with indoor waterfalls is still kind of tempting just for the sheer spectacle of it. Ooh.
Go for the spectacle, Mira. Get the cryotherapy, the juice cleanse, the Bluetooth water bottle, and the leggings. Document it all for you too. Think of the deal for you too.
Okay, maybe a bit of both. A German sauna followed by a quick dip in American Megaspa waterfall. The best of both worlds. Whoa, thanks for the wellness tour, Leo. I feel slightly more relaxed just thinking about it.
My pleasure, Mira. Now if you'll excuse me, I think I need a coffee. All this talk about relaxation is making me stressed.
Here, let's gently tiptoe ritual meads in Germany and the United States. It's a bit like comparing to bakeries by the bread, but maybe one's got more pretzels and the other's got more donuts, you know?
Pretzels and donuts. Pretzels and donuts. Mira, you always manage to make even serious stuff sound delicious. Okay, so religious and spiritual needs. In Germany, it's like you've got these ancient cathedrals looming over everything, right? Like, hey, remember history? Wow. In the US, it's more like a spiritual buffet. You can get anything from megachurches to yoga studio to a crystal shop.
Germany feels like it's got this grand historical backbone of religion, mostly Christianity, right? You see these magnificent churches in every city. Like they're saying, we've been doing this for centuries. Thanks. It's got the classic vibe, like a well-aged cheese.
A well-aged cheese, huh? Fitting for Germany. And the US, with its spiritual buffet, it's like feeling Christian? Cool. Buffet, whattest? No problem? Want to worship your pet hamster? Probably someone's doing it in California.
Freedom is definitely the keyword for the US. You can pretty much believe anything you want, and there's probably a place to practice it. It's almost overwhelming, like walking into a giant candy store and not knowing where to start. Ugh. In Germany, it feels more structured.
Structured is Germany's middle name, Mira. Even their spirituality probably has rules and regulations. Thou shalt meditate for precisely 15 minutes, no more, no less. And fill out Form 3B afterwards. Seriously, that structure does offer a sense of stability for some people, right?
For people who like tradition and history, Germany's got that in spades, religiously speaking. You can walk into a church that's older than some countries and feel that weight of history. Ah, it's like stepping back in time, but with better heating, hopefully.
Hopefully with better heat. A magic ride to find spiritual enlightenment while sharing. Ouch. In the US, you might not get that ancient cathedral vibe, but you get innovation right. But you get innovation right. Churches are trying to be up with rock bands and coffee shops inside. It's like, come for the sermon, stay for the lot of art.
Only in America. Leo. Only in America. Leo. But innovation is part of the appeal. It's like religion trying to stay relevant, to speak to modern life. It's like, hey, we're not just dusty old books, we're anti-IKT, okay too.
Religion on TIKT, okay. Now there's a thought. Imagine spiritual influencers doing dance challenges. Whoa, but back to Germany, they're also pretty secular, aren't they? Like church and state are separate, then people aren't necessarily super religious in their daily lives, despite the churches being everywhere.
Yeah, Germany is definitely more secular in practice, even with the historical religious presence. It's like, we appreciate the architecture, but Sunday mornings are for brunch, not hymns. There's a respect for religion, but it's not necessarily the driving force in everyone's lives.
Brunch over hymns? I can relate. But in the US, even with the separation of church and state, religion plays a much bigger role in public life. Politics, everything, right? It's like you can't escape it, even if you try.
It's like religion is woven into the fabric of American society, even if it's a very diverse and sometimes tangled fabric. Ugh, it can be a source of community identity, and even political power. It's a very different flavor from Germany's more reserved approach.
Reserved again, nutshell, but that reserved approach also means less pressure, maybe? Like, in Germany in a nutshell, maybe?
Exactly. It's like your spirituality is your business. Please don't force feed me pretzels. I mean sermons. Whereas in parts of the US, there can be more social pressure to conform to certain religious norms, depending on where you are.
Oh yeah, the Bible Belt is a whole different ballgame compared to, say, New York City, in terms of religious expectations. It's like, the US is not just a buffet, it's like a bunch of different restaurants all crammed into one country.
A religious food court. Wow. That's the US in a nutshell. So, for spiritual needs, it really depends on what you're looking for, doesn't it? Germany for historical gravitas and a more secular society, the US for sheer variety and religious fervor.
Spot on, Mira. Germany is like a quiet monastery in the mountains, offering contemplation. The US is like a bustling spiritual marketplace, offering everything and anything. Pick your vibe, folks.
And maybe, just maybe, you can find spiritual enlightenment in both, as long as you bring an open mind and maybe a phrasebook. Or a really good GPS for that American religious food court.
And don't forget your appetite, whether it's for pretzels of tradition or donuts of innovation. Okay, spiritual meats covered. What's next on our menu, Mira?
Our current topic, we compare social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity into countries. From inclusive policies to everyday vibes. It's quite the contrast, isn't it?
Contrast is an understatement, Mira. Germany and the US, both giants, but when it comes to social equality, they're playing totally different ball games. It's like comparing beer gardens to baseball stadiums, both social, but wildly different cultures, right?
Beer gardens and baseball stadiums. Love that, Leo. Okay, so Germany, often seen as super organized and efficient. Do they apply that German efficiency to social equality too?
Well, they try, Mira. They try. Germany's got this post-war history, right? They brought in tons of guest workers. That's the start of the modern diversity story. Not all smooth sailing, though. Let's be honest.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Is it like, welcome, guest workers? Now, please just blend in perfectly and don't make waves?
More like, welcome, guest workers. Build our factories, but maybe don't expect to become German overnight. It's taken time, and there's still this ongoing debate about what it means to be German and who gets to be really German. It's less melting pot and more like a very well-organized salad.
An organized salad. I like that. So, ingredients side by side, looking nice. Maybe not all mixed together. Oh, And the US, on the other hand, they've always been the land of immigrants, right? The melting pot ideal.
Ideal being the operative word there, Mira. The US has this beautiful story of give me your tired, you're poor, etched on Lady Liberty, but the reality is messier. Always has been. Wow, it's more like a chaotic jambalaya.
Jambalaya! So, everything thrown in. Flavors clashing. Sometimes delicious, sometimes questionable.
Exactly. The US is built on immigration, but also on waves of discrimination. From slavery to segregations, it's a history that's impossible to ignore. It's in the DNA, you could say.
So, Germany's got the organized salad with maybe some dressing issues, and the US is the chaotic jambalaya with a spicy history. Are policies trying to fix this in both places?
Germany's policies are very focused on integration. Language courses, job training, trying to get everyone on the same page, speaking German on the same page, speaking German values. It's a top-down approach, very structured, very German.
Structured German, predictable? And the US? Is it more of a everyone for themselves, may the best immigrant win kind of policy?
Whoa, Mira, a bit cynical there, but kinda close to the truth sometimes. The US talks a lot about equality and opportunity, but the safety net is well holy. And access to opportunities isn't equal for everyone, especially depending on your background. Whoa! Affirmative action, immigration reform, these are constant battlegrounds.
Battlegrounds. That sounds intense. So, Germany, more about top-down integration, US. More about bottom-up struggle?
You could say that. Germany's got stronger social welfare programs, healthcare, education, things that theoretically create a more level playing field. But there's still discrimination, especially against visible minorities. Right-wing extremism is a real problem. Yikes.
And in the US, the struggle seems to be more about systemic inequalities, right? Like, the system itself is rigged in some ways. Well,
Bingo! Systemic racism, income inequality, healthcare access tied to employment, these are huge structural issues. And then you add in the political polarization, it's a recipe for constant social friction. Ouch! It's like the jambalaya is boiling over.
boiling over jambalaya. Not a pretty picture. So, if you're a minority in Germany, you might face subtle exclusion, maybe? Like, being seen as not quite German enough.
Yeah, the Ausländer label, even for second or third generation immigrants, is still a thing. And there's definitely discrimination in housing, jobs, even just everyday interactions. It's not always overt, but it's there, simmering under the surface. Simmering like a slowly cooking sausage.
Always with the food analogies, Leo. Okay, simmering sausage discrimination in Germany. And in the US? For minorities, is it more in your face discrimination? Like louder, more visible, wow.
It can be. You see it in police brutality, in hate crimes, in the rhetoric coming from certain political corners. It's more raw, more exposed. But also, there's a stronger culture of protest, of fighting back, of demanding rights. Aha! The jambalaya is spicy and loud.
Germany might be quieter discrimination, but maybe more pervasive in a way. And the US? Louder discrimination, but also louder voices fighting against it.
That's a good way to put it, Mira. Germany is trying to engineer social harmony, but it can feel forced, or like it's glossing over real issues. The US is more of a free-for-all, messy and loud, but with more space for minority voices to be heard even if they're constantly battling for attention.
Sounds exciting and exhausting at the same time. So, which country is better at social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity? Is there even a better?
Better is a loaded word, Mira. Neither country is perfect. Both have deep-seated problems. Germany might look more orderly on the surface, but that order can mask underlying inequalities. The US is chaotic and confrontational, but that chaos also creates opportunities for change. Bah, it's a trade-off.
So, pick your poison. Organized salad dressing issues or spicy boiling over jambalaya?
Exactly. If you like structure and order, maybe Germany's salad is for you. If you're okay with a bit of constant struggle, maybe the US jambalaya is more your flavor. but neither's your picnic in the park when it comes to social equality.
Definitely not a picnic. More like a potluck where everyone brought something different, and you're not sure if it's all going to go together well. Oops.
Oops is right. And that potluck is society. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments, salad or jambalaya? Which social equality dish sounds more appealing or less unappealing? And don't forget to check out Jet Off AI for more country comparisons. Maybe we'll even do a deep dive on German sausages versus American hot dogs someday.
German sausages versus American hot dogs. Now, that's a topic for another podcast, Leo. But for now, I think we've given everyone plenty to chew on about social equality in Germany and the US. Thanks for joining me, Leo. Leo, in this culinary social comparison. Oh!
Always a pleasure, Mira. And remember, folks, whether it's salad or jambalaya, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. It helps us keep cooking up these country comparisons. Wow! Until next time.
Our current topic, we compare taxation, retirement, and social rights for long-term immigrants into countries. It's not exactly a laugh riot, but super important if you're thinking of packing your bags long-term, right?
Taxation retirement. Oh, sounds like the intro to a really boring movie, Mira. But yeah, for anyone dreaming of a new life, figuring out where your money goes and if you'll ever get to stop working is kind of crucial. So, Germany versus the US, Let's see which one is less likely to make you cry into your tax return.
Oh, so let's kick things off with taxes. In Germany, they're famous for their Steuerklasse system. It sounds like a class in Hogwarts, but it's actually your tax bracket. Whoa! Depending on whether you're single, married, have kids, or if you own a dragon, your tax rate changes. Just kidding about the dragon part. Mostly.
Steuerklasse. Sounds intimidating like German, Mira? Like, if you get it wrong, you get detention and tax jail? In the US, it's more like, hey, here's a form that's longer than a Tolstoy novel, good luck. We've got brackets too, but then more about yelling at the TV during tax season and wondering where all your money went.
And in Germany, they have this thing called Solidär at SGU Schlag. Try saying that 3 times fast. It was originally for East Germany, but it's still around. Kinda like that fruitcake your grandma makes every Christmas. You're not sure why it's still there. But you just accept it.
Solidär sounds like something you'd order at a fancy coffee shop. Mira, yes. I'll have a latte and a side of Solidär S. Is Solidär SCU. In the US, we have sweet state taxes on top of federal taxes. It's like a taxes on your taxes. Well, makes you feel super solidary with the government's bank account.
Taxception. I love it, Leo. And don't forget Kirchensteuer in Germany if you're officially registered as religious. It's like a tithe, but the government collects it for you. Convenient, right? Unless you're suddenly feeling less devout when Axe season rolls around.
Kirchensteuer. So, you're paying taxes to God. That's a new one for me, Mira. In the US, we have separation of church and state, mostly. Though sometimes during elections it feels like religion is writing the tax code. But officially no church tax. Unless you count donating to your local megachurch, which is tax deductible, of course.
Right. Tax-deductible donations. Both countries love those. It's like a get-out-of-tax-jail-free card. If you donate enough. But seriously, for retirement in Germany, you have a pretty solid social security system. The Rentenversicherung. Everyone pays in, and then you get a pension when you retire. Sounds nice and secure.
Rentenversicherung. Sounds like a German insurance company that only insures rent. But yeah, Germany's retirement system is more like a safety net, Mira. In the US, it's more like hope you saved enough, buddy. We have social security, but it might be bankrupt by the time we retire. Whoa, and for 101 KS, which are basically gambling your retirement on the stock market. Ouch!
Gambling on retirement. Sounds thrillingly terrifying, Leo. Germany's system is more generous for long-term immigrants, especially if you've paid in for years. They really believe in taking care of their well. Everyone who pays taxes, eventually.
Generous retirement in the US, generous retirement means maybe you can still afford Draymond noodles in your golden years. Social Security was designed back when people died younger. Now we're all living to be 100, and the system is like, oh, we didn't budget for this.
Budgeting for a century of life. That's a good problem to have, though, right? No. For social rights, Germany has pretty comprehensive healthcare, unemployment benefits, parental leave, the whole shebang. They're big on social welfare. It's like a warm, fuzzy social blanket.
A warm, fuzzy social blanket sounds cozy, Mira. In the US, our social safety net is more like a string bikini. Healthcare, expensive and complicated. Unemployment, good luck navigating that bureaucracy. Parental leave, is that some kind of fancy European vacation?
European vacation. Maybe parental leave should be a fancy European vacation? Ooh, but yeah. Germany is known for its strong social safety net. It's part of their culture, Sozialstaat, the social state. They believe in taking care of each other, more or less.
Sozialstaat sounds very socialist, Mira. Whoa, in the US, we're more about rugged individualism. Everyone for themselves. Everyone for themselves. Even if you don't have boots, or straps, or feet. We believe in charity, voluntary giving, which is great, unless you're the one needing the charity.
That sometimes the social safety net is nice too, right? Just in case your bootstraps break. For long-term immigrants in Germany, this Sozialstaat approach means access to healthcare, unemployment benefits, even social housing if you qualify. It's designed to help people integrate and become part of society.
Integrate and become part of society in the US. Integration is more like learn English, pay your taxes, and good luck. Our social rights are patchy. It really depends on the state, your employer, and whether you can navigate the system without losing your mind.
Losing your mind navigating bureaucracy that's universal? Leah, no matter which country you're in. But seriously, if you're planning to immigrate long-term, especially with a family, Germany's social rights and retirement system might look pretty appealing. It's like they're saying, come build a life here. We've got your back mostly.
We've got your back mostly. Sounds like a German proverb, Mira. The US is more like, come build a life here, and may the odds be ever in your favor. We offer opportunity, the chance to become a billionaire, if you work really, really hard, and win the lottery, and inherit a fortune.
Billionaire dreams. Always a good selling point, Leo. But for the average long-term immigrant, maybe a solid retirement and social safety net are a bit more realistic. It really depends on what you're looking for, right? Risk versus security.
Risk versus security, Germany is the sensible sedan, reliable, safe, gets you where you need to go. The US is the flashy sports car. Exciting, maybe a bit dangerous, might break down at any minute. But hey, potential for speed. So, if you like a smooth ride and knowing you'll have a pension, Germany. If you like to gamble and dream of striking it rich, the US. Take your pick.
Sensible sedan versus flashy sports car. Perfect analogy, Leo. And for our listeners thinking about making the big move, remember to check out Jedolf AI for more detailed comparisons on resources. It's like your GPS for navigating immigration.
Get off AI, your GPS for immigration. Love it, Mira. And if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. It's like tipping your podcast baristas, but without the actual tip.
And who knows, maybe by liking and subscribing, you'll manifest your dream life in Germany or the US. Wow, you never know who.
Manifesting your dream life through likes and subscriptions. Now if it's a tax-deductible donation I can get behind, Mira.
Bye, everyone. And may your taxes be low and your retirement be long. Our current topic. We compare the rate of meeting specific interests into countries. From niche hobby clubs to specialized events and community engagement. Let's dive into Germany and the United States. You know, Leon, sometimes I feel like my interests are so specific. They should come with a warning label caution, may cause extreme nicheness.
Mira, you're basically a walking, talking interest group starter kit. But seriously, meeting specific interest, that's a fancy way of asking, where can I find people who are as weird as me? And in that department, both Germany and the US are pretty strong contenders.
Like, if you're into competitive vegetable carving, where do you go? Or maybe you're passionate about collecting vintage thimbles shaped like famous landmarks. These are the important questions, Leo.
Well, if it's thimbles, and picturing quaint German villages with little antique shops overflowing with them. Germany has that whole world charm vibe, right? Like, you can probably find a club for perfecting the art of making cuckoo clocks while yodeling.
Yodeling cuckoo clock enthusiasts, I love it. But the US, right? We're all about go big or go home. So for niche interests, we probably have entire conventions dedicated to. Like, underwater basket weaving for left-handed scuba divers. Wow.
Whoa, underwater basket weaving? Is that even a thing? Actually, knowing America, it probably is. And there's probably a YouTube channel dedicated to it, millions of views. Don't forget, if you like this podcast, you can like and subscribe on YouTube too.
We're like the podcast for people who are interested in podcasts comparing countries. Back to Germany. I'm thinking very organized clubs. But you could find a Verein for literally anything. Verein dürfen des Deutschen Rein hier GE Boats Furby Runsock in Stricken. Something like that.
Mira, you're making up words now. But Germany is all about structure. So if you want to join a stamp collecting club, you'll find one. And they'll find one. And they'll have bylaws and meeting minutes and probably a dress code.
Dress code for stamp collecting? Imagine. But that's kind of charming, right? In the US, we're more like, hey, I like stamps, anyone else? Let's meet at Starbucks. Less formal, more spontaneous.
True. America is the land of startup culture. Even for hobbies, you can just create a Facebook group for your interests tomorrow on BAM. Instant community. Instant community. And if it takes off, you can monetize it, sell merch, the whole shebang. Jadafe, I can probably help you build a website for your niche interest group too.
Ooh, monetize thimble collecting. Now there's a business idea. But think about events. Germany has all those amazing festivals, right? But are they niche interest friendly? Or more mainstream beer and bratwurst fests?
Good point. Germany does love its beer festivals. But they also have incredibly specialized trade fairs and conventions. Like, if you're into, say, high-precision engineering for miniature trains, there's definitely a German Reach show for that.
Miniature train engineering. That's specific, but cool. In the US, we have Comic-Con and Renaissance fairs and all sorts of themed events. Are those niche enough? Or are they becoming mainstream now?
Comic-Con is basically mainstream now. But yeah, America does events really well. We have festivals for everything: food, music, obscure movies, you name it. And they're usually very welcoming to niche communities. It's all about celebrating diversity, even hobby diversity.
Hobby diversity. I like that. So, if you have a really weird interest, where are you more likely to find your tribe? Germany with its hyper-organized clubs, or the US with its anything-goes attitude?
That stuff. For sheer volume of people, the wins. More people, the US probably wins. More people, more weird niches. But for dedicated, deep dive communities, Germany's structure might be better. It depends what you're after. Are you looking for a huge crowd or a small, intensely passionate group?
Good point. It's not just about the rate of meeting interests, but the type of meeting too. In Germany, maybe you join a club and become a master sock knitter. In the US, you might start a viral TikTok about your sock knitting and become internet famous.
Internet famous for sock knitting. only in America. Mira, only in America. But hey, both options sound pretty good to me. Whether you like structure or chaos, both Germany and the US seem to have a place for your specific brand of weird.
So, whatever your passion, be it competitive cheese rolling or collecting rubber ducks dressed as historical figures, you're probably going to find your people somewhere in Germany or the US. And if you make a podcast about it, tell her